We are on the record. This is a caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council. Today is Monday, the 12th day of December in the year 2016. We had a 5:30 p.m. start. It's 5:39. Councilperson Kajewski for roll call.
Yeah.
Gadsden.
Here.
Fagiano. Yun.
Here.
Osborne.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Our last call at caucus, Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
Councilperson Waterman is not with us presently. Council President.
Here.
We have 8 members in attendance. Council President, take it away, sir.
Okay, first up is Director Kevin Williamson. They're not all 9 here. Joyce is missing.
Oh, Joyce is missing. She was here before. I just want to bring up something. I was down in the Public Works building the other day. We have a guy that's working 21 and a half years, assistant supervisor, and he's making $37,000 a year. We have another guy there that's there 30 years, making $45,000 a year. Something has to be done to adjust these raises and bring these people up to a standard of living that's proper. A person's 30 years with the city making only, what is it? He's making $45,000? Come on. I mean, we're hiring people here in the city now making 60, 70, 80,000. These people have dedicated their lives. They're good workers, good people. We got to look into giving these people raises.
Okay. Anything else on that, Rich? No. Done? Okay. Director Kevin Williamson, which items are we talking about?
We're talking about a resolution to accept a $7,200 grant from USTA, and then remember. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution for the grant for the.
Yeah, just give me the number.
And that is
What number?
to accept a grant of $7,200 from the U.S. Tennis Association, Eastern Incorporation, for school tennis youth initiatives for 6 city schools.
Yes.
Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
Provide some tennis education, right?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions about 10Y?
Recreation.
Okay. Can we finish the 2 items and then, Rich, let's finish the 2 items. What's the second item?
The second item, Joe, is
The next one.
that's the 7,200.
The short.
The insurance. What's the number?
Resolution authorizing an agreement for indemnification for a letter of insurance to certain nonprofit and public agencies.
No, it's for the Armory. For the Armory, right? Oh my gosh. Give me a number.
I'm looking, I haven't seen it yet.
It's a full agenda, everyone, so.
Must be 10S.
S?
Yeah.
Yes, 10S. So then we do this every year. It's ensuring and indemnifying all the nonprofits that use the Armory. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, any questions about 10S? Yes. Okay.
The reason I'm asking that, Kevin,
Yes.
so one of the great programs they put in the Reservoir 3, so kayaking, so fishing program. Actually, this is a half-and-half program by City of Jersey Police Department, also Reservoir 3 Alliance, private organization, non-profit organization, they do that. But every year when they do, what's it call it, the kayaking event.
Is this related to 10S?
No, but now what happened?
So let's finish our.
No, that's what I just make
You want
sure.
to finish the business? Because Rich Bogiano also had something for the Recreation Director. Yeah. Let's complete the business. 10S, no one else has questions, 10S?
See, that's what I'm asking
Okay,
you.
10Z14 is also a recreation. Probably you weren't aware of it, but it's installation of a music sound system for the Department of Recreation at the Pershing Field facility. Yep.
Facility, yeah.
Any Questions about 10Z14? It's fairly straightforward also. Okay, hearing none. Councilman Bogiano and then Yun for the Recreation Director.
I should have found the email that, would you please get the Zamboni in Persian Field at the ice rink fixed? People are complaining, it's making a lot of noise, it's been going on for months, and nothing has been done about it. So I was gonna call you today, but I got tied up. Please get the Zamboni fixed. You're disturbing people across the street in the houses, and it's annoying.
I appreciate that, and I'll do what I can, but that's more of a DPW issue, more than my issue. But I'll look into it for you.
We have folks from here from DPW
Yeah.
who could address that matter. Councilman Yun.
Yes. When they put you in the kayaking program, the organization have to be purchased at their insurance, we understand, but I think that part of the city program, city recreation program, city should be covered for that, event, for the liability insurance,
If they provide the insurance fees, we can indemnify them on our insurance. We have no problem with that. I don't think we have done that before because I don't think we've ever had a relationship with them. But yeah, if they're part of the recreation program, they will go under our insurance, city insurance.
So I'm gonna let them come to see you, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, good, thank you.
Okay. John, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have a list of who's here and for how many items. Who has one item? Carmen, come on up.
Which one is it, Carmen?
M, res,
M is it Mary?
To the record, I'm just,
So resolution of the municipal council of the city of Jersey City, amending program contracts under the Community Services Block Grant for program year January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016. So this is just accepting an increase in allocations?
correct,
So we're getting extra money. It's good.
I got the letter from the state after the fact, when I met with you, it wasn't, we didn't have, we're getting an increase, so. It's kind of sort of what it is.
Questions for Carmen on this?
Oh,
The attorney, Otto Hensel,
that's not on here.
that's not on?
It didn't make the agenda. Yep,
Thank you, Carmen.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Well, we haven't directed yet. I'd like to bring up something else.
Jeremy Farrell coming?
Yeah, where is our corporation counsel?
All right.
he was,
I went up to see him the other day about council people wanting certain directors to come here to talk before the council. And he said, we do not need the permission of the mayor. We can call, notify you, and tell them we want so-and-so here, and that's the way we do it.
We can request it and they,
Yeah. All right, I just want to let you know, because we had a big argument about that a month ago, if you remember the issue.
yeah, I do remember, but I think
it's the Faulkner Act. The Faulkner Act, it requires that interaction between the directors and the mayor be done through the mayor's office. That's the law.
We
It's,
don't have to do it.
well,
And I
in a
think it's
practical
rude.
world, in a practical world, no one wants that, because no one communicates that way.
let's see. We have not on the agenda, at the request of members of the council, there was, wanted to speak to the Hudson County Board of Elections. And Michael, come on up. And your staff, who else has come with you?
And we have Superintendent of Elections, John Brzezowski.
And so the reason for this, actually, Councilwoman Waterman requested, and after the election, and I didn't act quickly enough to get these folks here immediately after the election, so there were certain issues and concerns related to Election Day, and so you have an opportunity to raise those issues if there were certain questions, and they're here and prepared and willing to address any of the questions and concerns. We'll start with Councilperson Osborne.
Have you guys evaluated updating the machines?
And what's the cost of doing so? And is there any information? Because they feel particularly old, and I worry that especially since we moved our elections to November, if we could use something a little like a more modern, like a touch screen, like, hey, which of these do you want to vote in? I'd like to vote in the federal, the municipal, and the whatever, and then just something that has a better user experience, so that we could be really clear when people are voting.
Yes, the short answer, Councilwoman, is we have been looking into that for some time now, and the costs are extensive. Superintendent Brzezowski, who owns and operates those machines, will give you some further information on that.
Councilwoman, we presently have 600 voting machines that were purchased around 13 years ago. The life expectancy is somewhere between 5 and 7 additional years. We've done the best that we can to keep up with the parts orders so that we have enough CPUs and the major items that go, that we have enough to replace them. As an example, this last election, we put out a total of 519 machines. We had one breakdown out of 519 machines, and that was a battery that needed to be replaced, and rather than do it in the field, we just replaced it with another machine. Correct. F-24, I believe, Councilwoman, it was. But to answer your question about the ability to purchase new machines, right now it's what we're looking for in touch screens is still in development stages at 2 or 3 of the major manufacturers. When we go to our conference in March, we have plenty of time to look them over. It's in Atlantic City. They bring what they have the most updated. As of last year, they were still in the planning stages and had some rough drafts for some things. They tell us now when we go this year in March that they'll have something that's near completion, if not completed, and possibly to include a paper trail. However, it's got to go through state certification and then national certification. So they don't believe that it would be even available to 2018. Based on my past experience with the last machines we purchased the Series 8 about 9 months after we purchased them. They come out with a Series 9. We had a myriad of problems adapting some of the handicapped controls on the machines because we needed to be upgraded. They were less than a year old and they needed to be upgraded, which was embarrassing. So I don't wish to be the first group that purchases the new machines, and I don't want to shortchange anybody in Hudson County, and certainly not in Jersey City, my home. So I would hope that you'd be patient with us, and we'll do the best that we can to keep them operational. And just know that they've been very reliable over the years.
May I have one follow-up to that? Are you guys open or interested in some type of community design hackathon to potentially improve the layout of the ballot, given the complexities that we're going to have next November?
The layout of the ballot, I will say, is strictly by statute a county clerk issue. Yep. The county clerk, there are 3 offices that handle elections.
When they talk to county clerk.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Got it, thank you.
And the magician.
Councilperson Waterman?
Who determines how many district is in a certain area?
My board does.
Okay,
That's county board of elections.
because when I was in district, 31, 28, and 1, they was in 1.
F. Halliday is certainly one of them, and there are several, including one that I want to say to the councilwoman, that, thank you, her, she had someone from your office, Lauren, had reached out. It was just too tight before.
Sure.
It was within 2 weeks, and she had great recommendations to move E9 and E15, which was another of our specifically bad districts. I'll say, you do understand, I think you guys know, the issues of this election were turnout based. Mm-hmm. And if as an election official we were caught, I would say I was caught in any way flat-footed, it was on the turnout. We did not expect turnout to be equivalent to 2008. And it was, actually, it was a little better.
But it was a major election. Why wouldn't you expect that? Because it was a major election. It was a presidential election.
Yes,
So why
yes.
wouldn't you expect that? Because now the district that I was in, and I got stuck at that district all day because it was like chaos just trying to get in there. The people was frustrated, and I don't blame them.
No, absolutely.
And they said this is always a problem with that district. It's too small. It's a fire, station. And when there's a fire alarm, you should see the people getting out of the way so the firemen can come through. Dangerous to me.
Understood. And I have been at that district in the past. I was not at this election. I was at other districts. Superintendent Brzezowski was at that.
I was there with you, Councilwoman.
Thank you.
I can
we know how
attest
much
to
you
the
did
work
to
that
help.
you did.
Yes, I did. I
We
worked.
stayed open until 8:30 that night to remedy the situation. If you notice, we reformed 3 lines, made everybody line up before the lines. I think the problem existed because, number one, as I pointed out to Michael, there were too many districts in the firehouse. And the other problem, issue was being the volume of a presidential election, because it's a firehouse and it's got a wide open apron door, everyone just kind of files in there and then tries to find out which district they're in. What we tried to do, if you notice at the end of the night, was keep everybody outside, lined up in 3 lines until we cleared out the firehouse and then started letting them in again. And I believe had that been done earlier in the day, that might have helped to remedy the situation. But certainly, we already have potentially a new place to vote for the next election, which we've researched already, and Michael's office is
We'd like
involved
to
in that.
move 2 of those to the new Walker Center, very close. I know you're familiar with the area. So we will be sitting down with you or anybody else who would like to be involved to figure which 2 will move. But we'll probably still need one. Do understand, the polling locations in Hudson County are difficult. And in the past, I'd say 10 years, when the state has really made a push on ADA compliance, which of course we are cognizant of, we care about very much, but it changed, it moved us out of places that we had been for decades, community-based polling areas that people liked. Our Lady of Mercy is an example that, has since been moved, is now another one of 8, I believe, at the Moose Lodge. We don't want that many in the Moose Lodge or in any given place. That being said, I can't say on behalf of my board that we'll ever say you can't have more than 1 or more than 2 at a given place, because we have some schools with 8 and 9 that work very well. It's large enough. I'm not going to sit here and blame voters. Some does fall back on them because if people know there's reasons that we spend the excessive amount of money that we do, mailing everybody a sample ballot. We like that. Now, I do understand there are other states in the country that have stopped that, have said they're available online. We make them available publicly. We're not going to send them. That's a deep part of our culture in Hudson County. People expect those sample ballots.
So moving forward, we will have some of these districts move out of Holiday
Out of the Holiday Street Firehouse, yeah.
Absolutely.
What about the training of those who sit there and take the voting? Because it was horrible. I don't know the word to say, horrible. They were not trained. I mean, it was terrible. I stayed there all night. It was terrible.
Joyce,
Yeah.
beyond terrible.
Oh, okay. So if we agree, it's something in the air.
Understood. I will say training is offered every year. It is mandatory for every.
It's training. Is
Before every
it
election.
24 hours before the election? Is it a week
No,
of
it's
training?
about 3 weeks before each election, because we do. Well, we offer 6 or 7 in Jersey City and at least 1 or 2 in the other towns.
Okay, when I'm saying one-day training, when a person wants to be a poll clerk or whatever you call it, all right, they go to training one day,
Yes, they have to come to a training. 2
just
hours.
one day, 2 hours? Oh. So, based on my findings, that's not sufficient enough. So, do y'all have a plan in place to make sure these people get more training than just 2 hours? Because just think about it, they're gonna look at provisional ballots and they have to make sure all of this is filled out. That might not be sufficient enough training for 2 hours for a major election. I just can't see it, because then people are coming after you and you're trying to get this done right, and all they gave you was 2 hours training. I saw the list on one table and I asked one of the poll clerks there, why is that list near the door? And they said, well, I don't know. The people have to look on that list for their name and they're the poll clerk, so something is wrong.
Is it mandatory training?
Yes. Well, it's mandatory at least every 2 years. Other than that, we leave it to discretion of municipal clerk. Sometimes they make it for a municipal election. I believe your last municipal election, we made that a mandatory training for Jersey City poll workers.
Do they get paid for training?
They do not get paid for training.
That's the challenge.
They do not get paid.
They
They
don't
do.
get paid very much,
You know, right.
$200 for the day.
for like a 12-hour day.
For a long day.
15 hours, 15
It
hours.
used to be to get to $200, you had to attend a training session, but it's now just,
During your year's mandatory, if it's a mandatory for you or it's been more than 2 years, yes, there is a deduction, $33, I
Have you-
think is the first one.
Have you ever suggested going to the college students?
We have, we
Have that
have,
ever-
but do understand, there is the system in place right now for poll workers. The poll workers are recommended from each of the parties by your municipal chair people. That is our starting point. Now, I do understand that usually comes in as repeat what you had last year is fine with us. That's usually their input. After that, we get walk-ins as we get them. We've never done an aggressive push for college students for the simple reason that we worry that my commission in the past is worried about the turnover. You train them and you lose them relatively quickly. Now, I think in retrospect and moving forward, an election like this, like a presidential election, I should have had an additional staff of people just to do crowd control issues, which was our major problem on election day. Also, other counties, and that's how I've learned most of, see what other counties do. Several counties offer a test on, literacy and knowledge of the subject after the test, and that test decides whether or not they could be poll workers. Again, something that my commission has considered several times in my 10 years here, and has each time so far gone against it in the end, having other concerns about it, not wanting to lose a large majority of people who we've had for a long time.
Councilperson Coleman?
I just want to go back to something that Joyce said. Who's responsible for selecting the people who fill those positions? Because I think I was told the ward leaders are responsible for that. When I called to find out, I think I was told the ward leaders are responsible for choosing the people for certain areas. Oh, is it the city, the Democratic organization? Or?
The city municipal chair.
Okay.
Democratic and Republican chair people. Now, that may be how they break it down amongst themselves, so let the ward leaders do each ward, but to us, the official contact is between the municipal chairperson and the Board of Elections.
I'm sorry, but now that you're here, I was gonna put it in an email, but I'll just ask now. We have like one district that would be beneficial to break up. Is that possible to do? Because what's happening is that half the people, right now, I think the polling location's on the other side of the Holland Tunnel, so they gotta cross over both, what is it, 14 and 16, or 12 and 14?
It can't happen anymore. That can't happen.
Yeah, and then if we switch it the other way, then we'd have people that have to come the other way. So
Right.
I feel like we need to break them into two different districts. Is that possible?
Yes, so the short answer is yes, the long answer is there's a process that we'll
Okay,
have to
all
go
right,
through.
so I'll have
But I
one
will-
follow-up.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great.
So instead of 32 or 33, it'll be 34 and 35
And
districts
those are all
within.
the questions
Yeah.
that go into the process, yes.
Cool.
Any other questions?
Yeah, can I just ask you one question? We get 5, 6, and 25 put back into St. Joseph's and out of that county building?
5, C, we're talking C.
St. Joseph's has no,
Is handicap accessible.
Yes, they do. They have an elevator.
Okay.
wait, where do you get the elevator, Councilman? I went to,
In the main hall downstairs, we have an elevator now.
do you have to walk downstairs to get to the elevator?
No, you go right in the door, it's level ground.
Yeah, Councilman, I'd love to take a look at it, and absolutely, if it's
because,
possible, of
yeah,
course.
going to the county building is a horror show. All right?
Any other questions for? My one comment is that Moose, you already touched on it, the Moose Lodge.
Yeah.
A lot of districts in there, yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7.
If you can come up with something, an alternative in that area, we would appreciate it.
Okay.
Look into it. We've looked and we, quite frankly, can't find it.
Okay. Well, no, because it's still
Different
further.
issues. This is polling places, and then I'm gonna give you mine, which has a cell number on it, and I could always help you to get. That is the gentleman who handles polling places. This is the woman who handles poll workers.
I know,
And I marked them all up for us.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Saying that night.
And that's me. I believe you have, but.
This is yours?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, John.
All right, we're gonna bring up Director Shea, who's gotta be in New York City shortly, so. Thanks.
Okay, Director, you're here. I guess Z6, that would be the, for the 4-year lease of 24 Interceptor vehicles.
That's to replace the police vehicles that we're putting out of service that are going to be condemned. We're going with a 4-year lease so we can replace them right away. DPW arranged the lease. They said the money is very favorable to us, and by doing it with the lease, we'll be ready to get new ones right when their effective life is over. The only question is we're stretching it to 4 years. Most people say 3 years on police emergency vehicles, but we think based on our past history, we can get 4 out of them.
So those are SUVs, just for the record?
Yes.
All SUVs?
Yep. That counts, but that's partly why we think we can get the 4th year. Our experiences with the stronger vehicles, we're getting a 4th year out of them instead of just 3.
What's the next item?
This is Carbon Black from CDWG under state contract.
Okay, this is, hold on a second. Carbon Black. Bottom line, Carbon Black is to protect our computer systems. The 911 system, our dispatch system, all of our state systems, and we've expanded it. It's also going to protect City Hall and your systems. We're taking you under the City Hall thing. It'll include anything that goes to our computers. People probably know that Newark got taken over recently by one of the ransomware systems. It caused them a major problem. Multiple municipalities throughout the country have had to pay the ransomware. You know, when they took over their system and froze them up, they'll literally freeze up your 911 systems, and you can't use it unless you pay them ransom. Carbon Black is the system used by the intelligence system of the United States government and the military of the United States government. It's as close to bulletproof as we can find, and it's under state contract. The only expansion, if I've spoken to any of you about it or Bob Baker has, is that we've decided to take City Hall into this system also and extend the coverage here.
Okay, questions for Z7? Hearing none, next item.
Z8 Morpho Track. For the purchase and integration of the live scan identification.
Yeah, this is, we're just asking your permission to spend $61,000 for 2 live scan machines to do the fingerprint and mugshot images. We're going to pay for it out of our state forfeiture fund. We've already gotten the prosecutor to approve it. This ties in with the new criminal justice reforms being mandated by the state. We're under a mandate to identify people and get their true identity in front of a judge faster so a judge can make a bail decision on the person. We can't do it with the equipment we have now. We have to expand this equipment to different facilities. Bottom line is somebody will be arrested, brought in, identified immediately positively using this system, and then a judge will make a decision on whether we can hold them or whether they should be released. That's mandated from the state. And again, it's state forfeiture money, it's not city funds.
That's part of the bail reforms.
Yeah, it's criminal justice reforms, yeah. Bail reform's part of it.
Any questions? Next item.
Wallman Supply for police ammunition, so ammunition for the pistol range.
Yeah, this is already in the budget. This is the, do I have the right ammunition? No, that's the one I just did. Ammo for the pistol range. This is just mandated training every year. Every police officer under the Attorney General standards has to fire a certain number of rounds at the range every year and achieve a certain score. You multiply that number of rounds by our officers, and this is what we need, including the emergency service guys.
Any questions?
Just as a point of view, you guys know that Manzo's is gone? Yeah.
No, I didn't know.
Closed down. Yeah, he's been around, what, a million years? No, as long as Greg was around.
Any other items?
Not that I can see.
I do.
Some late items.
Don't, clerk, Bobby, Bobby, want to just double check that you have those?
Yes.
Nope, not the, I had a couple others that I don't on the regular agenda.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. We have, yeah, we have 10T. We are, this is authorizing the risk manager to enter a letter of insurance with Team Rhodey LLC for the fire division. This is for vacant building
Permission to
training.
do vacant building training in a vacant building. We need the risk manager's permission to enter into an agreement with them to cover us on insurance.
Any questions on that? Hearing none, next item.
10X, we took this out of an agenda meeting a couple weeks ago because of the amount. It's to receive $120.58 from the Department of Justice for body armor. We didn't think it was worth the paperwork, but
Bottom line, if I could, this was explained to me, this is a continuing program where the federal government continues to fund the body armor for our officers. This money must have been left in the fund and they divided it among everybody, you know, when they zero out at the end of the year. If we don't accept it, they'll drop us from the fund because you have to accept the money as they give it. So, yeah, while it's agreed. While it seems unusual, it seems more like a bookkeeping thing for them than anything else.
okay, the last thing is comprehensive psychological, and this is to do psych evaluations for candidates for the police department, fire department. Z24.
Z24.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we ought to have the psychiatrist here.
Based on some of the people I hire, I'm not sure you need them. Everybody know this is just the mandated psychological testing before which we have to do before we can hire someone for a public safety job.
Any questions on that? Okay, so we also got 10Z32.
Okay, we have late items. I think Greg is going to handle the Millennium. Oh, okay. Z32 through 34 are all contracts with Millennium Communications for cameras under state contract for CCTV video security, so that's Z32, Z33, Z34.
And the representative from Millennium is also here with us.
Just one quick correction to that. It should be funding under or pricing under GSA contract for some of them and under state contract for others, just to be accurate.
Yeah, I didn't read the entire titles into the record, Director.
Do you want to say anything in the preface it, or just
No,
want to go right into it?
I'll take questions. Everybody, we've been talking about cameras for a while. Everybody's familiar with the issue, so. Basically, after previous meetings, I guess I will say something, we have decided to move forward on what we discussed there. We're going to do it in 3 or 4 phases, but we're essentially going to create an entire new camera system and stop relying on the old defunct 3-camera systems and trying to tie them together. I think we've tried for 2 or 3 years to make that system work and to not waste the money, even though nobody here spent it, that was spent on those systems. It has become spending good money after bad. I can't justify it anymore. It makes more sense to start from scratch and to redo it. What we did with that, it gave us an opportunity to take a snapshot historically of the city and of the locations where we have historic violent crime, and we've prioritized them all. And we're going to start, as we put cameras in, since we're doing it in phases, we're starting with the most historically violent locations. We can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow, but we can look back and get a snapshot of where we've had persistent problems. So we're going to start there. Phase 1 is...
We have 9 locations, all articulated in the memo that's being passed around. These are all funded under UASI FY16, $360,000. They've expanded the capabilities to allow us to fund anything that's potentially gang-related, as it's tied into a terrorism nexus. So we were able to expand this, and as the director said, this is phase one out of, future phases we tend to do throughout the city.
That will be 36 cameras at nine locations. Reason being, we are getting rid of the pan, tilt, and zoom cameras because they seem to always be looking in the wrong direction. When something happens, we're replacing them with 4 cameras at each location to give a complete 360 view, 24/7. So if something happens, we'll have it unless there's a blind spot. If we find one, we'll fix it. Associated with that is the cost of running some of the fiber optic cable to those locations. Phase 2 is the parks. That's DPW already had it in their budget to get the cameras up in the parks, which several people here have spoken about before. Once we have the cameras up in the parks and run the lines to tie into those, then in next year we have $500,000 coming from our state prosecutor forfeiture fund. That'll be phase 3. We'll spend that money tying new cameras in based on that, and then we'll go into the money that business agent Kakoleski has put into the capital budget to continue on with that. And we're just going to continue knocking out one location after another crime prone. One good thing, the first locations are not right next to each other. That gives us a little economy of scale as we continue because it'll be cheaper to hook up to existing fiber than to have to run it. We're also going to be running fiber into the south end of the city where none existed previously because it was never, no camera system was ever put up there. The 3 previous systems, I've said this before, but I'll repeat it. No fault of anybody, especially not anyone here who wasn't here, but they were put up based on economic zone money availability, which meant they went up in economic zones, not necessarily where we need them. They just put them where they could get them funded. These are going, since we're using city funding and city available funding, these are going where they're needed on priority order.
Is this the same company that we was dealing with before when they was trying to fix it? Remember when we first started, I know these not the guys that installed it. I know this is not the company.
No, it's not.
Right.
I don't know if those companies even existed.
Right.
Dieball was the original installer of it.
But this company here, we hired them from the beginning when we came on board. And remember, they were supposed to be trying to fix the system at the time.
Yes, this is the company that's been working with us trying to fix the existing system.
Okay, now, and I know we had questions about the company because now they will own the wiring, right, underneath? Because I remember they will own the wire, the optic.
Conversation about
Oh,
fiber and
wire.
who owned it and whether.
Right, it was a question about that.
The owner of the company.
The only reason why I'm saying that, because then if we have a problem,
No, if
just
we-
like with the other company.
Right.
Yeah, no, this system we own.
We own every piece
Okay.
of fiber.
We
If I'm
own
paying to put it in,
every
we
piece.
own it. That's.
We will own it.
Yes.
Okay, because before that was the question.
No, I agree. Before the question, I know exactly, there was 2 questions. Remember that we were banging our head against. Someone else owned wire and we had to pay them to tie into it. And they also owned licenses on equipment that they put in proprietary. No, we own this. And this system is going to be tied into Bishop Street with our 911 operators and to Director Kearse at the emergency management system. It's the same system that we're currently using on the light rails. So our parks, our light rails, and our streets should all have the same system coming up on the same cameras. And we'll all.
Because I know when
Yes.
we didn't own it, it was a
You're right.
problem.
No, you're 100% right. That became a problem for us trying to fix it. Because people can't fix what they didn't install it. And that's the other thing, this system will be maintained by the company that installs it. So we won't have you can't blame me for that, I didn't put that in, I don't have that size screw, we won't have any of that problem.
One thing we were able to complete.
I don't know, I had a chance to read it. Okay, as far as the maintenance of it, who will take care of it?
The same company that's installing, where you at, Bob? Yeah,
Correct. One of the things we identified, going back to the fiber, Councilwoman, is we now have what they call the as-built, where every piece of fiber was installed, we now are able to identify. So that kind of helped us, in addition to the crime locations that we wanted to cover, the nine areas. It also gave us the opportunity to utilize existing fiber that's in place where we wouldn't have had to run new fiber. The hardline cameras are the way to go, and what we're trying to do with this is the majority of these locations are all going to be hardwired cameras.
Yeah, and yes, the maintenance will be done by the same company that's installing, just like they do for the light rail cameras now. And there's no problem.
Covered in these contracts?
Huh?
The maintenance is covered in these contracts or the current existing contract?
As I say, we approved my contract. Millennium did a lot of exploratory work using the contract I had for my 82 cameras, just trying to keep the old system running. So, I mean, they really didn't bill us. They were billing us on the terms and conditions of my 82 cameras. They actually helped us out. They also did the as-bills for us, so we identified where the fiber was. There will be, next year, if there's a general contract to cover the entire system, I'll be able to cover that through my Homeland Security dollars.
And we'll be,
It's covered through your contract?
It will be next year.
These
They're not up
gets
yet.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob, what's the normal warranty on the cameras when you do the install?
The warranty on the cameras, and I've been done for years for OEM, is that it's 3 years now on most of all the high-def cameras. They're actually PC. And actually, if anything fails in that time, we'll come out, take it out, get a brand new one, and replace it on security. The fiber optic cable itself, our warranty from the manufacturer is 25 years.
Okay.
It's really limited what it can do. I think the biggest problem we have is storms, some tree comes down and takes it down, but otherwise it's very reliable. We have built 85 networks in the state of New Jersey for counties, municipalities, Board of Education, for their networks.
Okay, and if this is approved, when would the work start? When would be the first, camera go live, so to say?
Probably within about a month,
Okay.
a month and 2 weeks. It's mostly delivery of fiber optic cable right now. That's the biggest problem that we're having from one manufacturer.
Okay.
They're doing a lot of building across the country and trying to update a lot of the towns and everything. So we order, that's the longest waiting period. But in that time period, we'll be doing engineering, finishing the drawings, CAD drawings, putting them together with the other stuff that's in place now, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
yeah, a lot of the work, some of the early work has started already, identifying locations that are gonna need poles put up, that cannot put up cameras, that we have to put the lines into, where exactly we're gonna put them to make sure we get the views, some testing and stuff. I'm confident that as we get this stuff in, you'll see. And there's a cooperative effort with the police department, so none of this money is going for traffic control or anything else. It's going for cameras and fiber optics to put up there, and our on-duty officers will cover the traffic control, because this is a city project, as we put it in.
What we did on this also, like you do the other ones, you always had to get power to the camera locations and everything. It was very costly for the power company. What we did here, we tried to take out as many traffic lights. The traffic lights are owned by the city. There's power there already, just like we did on Washington for OEM. There's power there. We can power the cameras right up with a switch. They're PoE cameras now, so it saves a lot of money on that side also.
I should say, just in the interest of accuracy, in the parks, we are keeping some of the pan, tilt, and zoom, just because it makes sense, because there's just too much area to cover, to cover. So yeah, we're gonna let the operators still have the ability to focus in on different parts of the park, but only in the parks.
Because believe it or not, sometimes people can reach it and throw a rock in it.
Shoot it.
Right, right.
They're on the boom of the traffic light, so the boom that comes out of the traffic light, that's 21 feet above ground, so you with that, you can't reach it. You would have to come with a truck or a bucket truck or something.
They come with a 22 and shoot them out.
They're not as easy
They're 22, I mean, they're vandal proof, but they're not totally.
We had a lot of
What happens if it's stolen or shot or destroyed by some outside person? Who will be responsible
Because
for
these
the
blocks that you're talking about, there's a
replacement?
possibility that they get shot out. You know what I'm saying?
Who's responsible?
That's very short, very rare. We have 968. We have 968 cameras running in the works, housing authorities, 32 complexes. They're all vandal proof. We have never lost a camera by being shot out. We have had problems where they put stuff over the legs, but that's just coming back and cleaning it.
I mean, with our existing problems, we have had, everybody knows, the Berry Lane system had cameras stolen almost immediately. But our systems on MLK and stuff, for all their problems, they were never stolen or broken intentionally. They just were bad and started to break, or we didn't clean them. I mean, if you take a deer rifle out there, yeah, you can probably take it down, but just,
In the city now, we have a lot of houses that have house cameras, and in the last couple of weeks, there's been a few incidences, which I've personally been involved, and the house cameras have taken the pictures of what went on. Why don't we get a list of every house in the city, so the cops and the detectives don't have to go around and ask.
That's what John Howard.
Remember John?
Put on a registry. There is registration?
Yeah.
Voluntary, the voluntary.
Voluntary, I'm saying make it mandatory.
You can't make it mandatory. Now, when somebody pay for their own camera, you can't make them do what you
When they
want.
put you move it in Jersey
You
City,
can't
they
make
move
them
it.
people property.
We get, just to be fair, like, we get excellent cooperation from private homeowners and private businesses when the detectives go out there. I don't think they'd be willing to join a mandatory thing, but when we speak to them, there's not a part of the city where we don't get, where our detectives don't get real excellent cooperation. Yeah, and I can think of 10 crimes that we've caught the guys based on it, just off the top of my head. But again, it's not an issue right now. We might want to revisit it if it ever becomes an issue, but cooperation with people letting us see their systems is pretty robust.
So just, because there's a lot of talk about it, so if it's stolen, shot, destroyed, we're insured, and we replace it through insurance money, or is it just another expenditure?
It would be through the risk management fund.
Yeah.
I think there's a window as far as, what's eligible, cost-wise, but the average camera, I would say, is about $2,500, Bob, and around there.
Like the original, but if going to the fixed, drops down to about 1,200.
We've had, I can tell you this, in the 80-some-odd cameras that we have in the OEM, including along the light rail, we've never had one vandalized.
Because 21 feet's up there. You know, that's, and again, we're confident that we'll avoid some of the errors that, in the past, we hope, and we'll finally get them in, which everybody deserves. I thought he was going to kill us, but he likes you.
Okay, if there are no questions for Director Shea, was there any other items? Chris, you have any questions?
No, I think that's it. Thank you, Council President, thank you, Council members.
Merry Christmas to all.
Getting skinny, Greg.
Happy holidays.
Get serious.
Actually, you should have.
Bigger suit?
First phase include Ward B.
Yeah. Is your war? Huh? Is the parks?
Parks are
Let's see.
all F, A,
Yeah.
and then.
Well, they said they
Oh, no.
highlighted the.
Triangle Park is Ward A.
Yeah, but they highlighted the challenging areas. They put emphasis on.
Challenging Ward B, right?
Is that Chris?
Right, like down at Marion.
Well, then what you need to do is tell Shay.
That's the next phase.
Okay, the next phase to make sure that they have something down there. Because, you know what I mean?
It's all F and A.
Yeah. So
Okay,
make sure.
who has
They do
two
it.
items? Two items on the agenda? Jeff? Oh, you're good. We got Stacy.
Three items.
Oh, is Jeff still here?
I'm only getting I have like 2.5. I have two, Paul has one.
One item.
One item? Come on. What's your item?
10H.
10H is Harry?
Price is
Harry 10.
This is seeking the authorization to settle some tax court cases. I'd like to direct your attention to the schedule on item number 3 and item number 8. Yeah, item number, the block 9403, lot 15,
Schedule A.
Schedule A, item number 3. Block 9403, lot 15. This is basically what happened here was that in 2015, we had a county board judgment reducing the assessments. It's just that I don't know whether we received the judgment not in time to make it to the books for the 2016. So the reduced amount was not reflected on the 2016 tax list. I cannot just arbitrarily change the numbers if it is discovered after the books were filed. On the number 8, this is the Tropicana. This is a multi-year settlement. The numbers or the original assessments we have before basically came from the abated property we had before with Tropicana, and then it expired. It expired in the 2008, and the appeal basically commenced only in the year 2010. Both of our experts looked at these settlements and basically agreed with the numbers that we are proposing. The reductions you have in here, I know you're looking at like from 300 to 400,000 each year. This is basically a reflection of either the market or in terms of also what do you consider part of the real estate on the Tropicana property. Tropicana property, it is a 286,000 square feet of kind of mechanized distribution center. Technically, if you look at it, I think even our experts agree that it is more or like a warehouse, a distribution warehouse. I think that's the bulk of the reduction that came with this, although my contention was that this machineries that you have should not be considered as private, the personal properties. Nevertheless, the two experts considered it as basically not part of the real estate because they could be moved at any time. So basically, the big reduction we have.
Questions for the tax assessor? On this particular item? Okay, I do have a question. So on 2 Journal Square, you're saying that the reduction from 26 million to 19,500,000, was that you're saying mandated by the
county tax board judgment? It's a judgment from the county.
So we have to accept it.
We have to accept it. Okay. And supposedly it should have been applied to the following year, applying what you call the Freeze Act. Any judgment that you have would be followed through to the following year.
And then the Tropicana is not from the county.
It's not from the county.
This is something that we.
From the beginning, we assessed these properties from the time that it expired and then it went into conventional taxation.
Why wouldn't they just go through the same process as 2 Journal Square?
State tax court, it's the amount of money at.
Right. Normally, if you have bigger assessments involved, they go directly to the tax court. All of these are before the tax court.
So this did go before the tax court,
Yes.
Tropicana?
Yes.
And there was.
We're settling them.
We're settling them.
In front of the tax court now, but we're settling them.
But the tax court didn't render this judgment?
Not yet. We are seeking authorization from the council to authorize the settlement. Yes.
We just
We
want to
can
make sure all
enter-
our ducks in order.
We cannot enter an agreement without the council approving our settlement numbers.
Between 2 Journal Square where they settled, where the judgment came in from the tax court versus Tropicana where the judgment did not come in.
No. We have different courts. We have the county tax board who rendered judgment for 2015. They reduced the assessment. Supposedly, that reduction should have been reflected the following year. That did not happen.
I get it, I got that. And so this is based on the fact that they rendered a judgment.
Right.
And you're saying they didn't render a judgment with Tropicana.
Because it did not go into the county tax board. It went directly to the tax court.
To the where?
State, New Jersey tax court.
Why?
When there's big numbers involved? Like
Normally, big
Tropicana?
numbers, they go directly to the tax court. Well, it so happened that they filed directly to the county tax board. This is different filings. One, Tropicana went directly to the New Jersey tax court, and the Gaia went directly, or 2 Journal Square.
Tax court telling us that this is the number we have to settle at?
No. This is the number that we are submitting to the tax court to settle.
So what's the process of the New Jersey tax court that would they render a judgment eventually through the court?
Yes, we agree to settle. They will render a judgment if we submit the stipulations.
What he's asking, why don't we exhaust
What
that
he's
process?
asking is, in the last case that the first one that the judgment was entered in, was that a settled matter, or did it go all the way through trial?
It is a settled matter.
It was a settled matter, the judgment was entered, and then it didn't make it to the book the following year. So the same process was followed, they just didn't carry it over to the book in the following year. Okay? But once it's entered by the court, it becomes a judgment. Okay?
Once it's entered into the,
So if you guys approve this settlement,
yeah,
it'll then be submitted to the court. The court will enter it as their final judgment, your settlement.
but when it's in court, if we don't do this, will the court come with a judgment?
The court will come with a judgment ultimately, yes.
And
Our
we're not.
experts basically agree that this is, this serves the best interest for the city.
Addressing our risk there and so forth, and saying this is
Exactly.
the easiest, I get it, but we're cutting their assessments in half, like, literally, over here, right, in some of these cases, or almost half in some cases.
Not in Tropicana, but in the smaller ones, maybe.
Well, we're dropping it from 13 million to 6, reducing it by 6 million, yeah, it's almost half. These are some big reductions in assessments, and they haven't exactly been great corporate citizens either, I'll add that. Let me throw that in there. Yeah, so,
It's 2 Journal Square. Do you remember several years ago, it was owned by a U.S. senator, and he said if he doesn't get a tax abatement, he's moving the company out of the city. And then after he got the tax abatement, after he got the tax abatement, he sold the property just like that, and we got shafted in Jersey City. Now they're giving him $6 million. Well, he's not here no more.
Yeah, look where he is now.
Yeah, he's up in heaven.
How did you
So
know
we
this
get
happened?
$6 million, we're giving them, when a block and a half away, off Summit Avenue, just sold for $26 million, an empty lot. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Well, unfortunately, when you do valuations on the buildings, you rely on the income stream that the property generates. And basically, it's a function of numbers and also comparable sales that you have. If you have this particular income on that particular property, you use the conventional method in arriving at the value of the property.
any other questions for the tax assessor on this? Hearing none, thank you, sir. Jeff, you have one? Come on up. What's your item? 10R. 10R, as in Robert? Is that the Tunnely?
Yeah, this is the Tunnelly Avenue Light Industrial Study Area.
Is David Donnelly here, too?
He's in Holland. Yes, he's here too.
Bob Kavanaugh's here as well.
10R.
So this is a resolution declaring the Tunnelly Avenue Light Industrial Study Area an area redevelopment and a condemnation redevelopment area. This is along Tunnelly Avenue, sort of by the western slope, on the western side of Tunnelly Avenue, where Daylight Trucking and some other, there's a remediated vacant site and some other minor industrial concerns. There's a map at the back of the study that shows the study area. It's kind of a narrow strip of land sandwiched between Tunnelly Avenue and the Conrail tracks. And that being between those two pieces of infrastructure leaves this long, narrow piece of land that really kind of hampers the ability of the industrial operations there to expand. They can only kind of expand in two directions, and they've kind of run into each other, so they're at a deadlock. There's a lot of blighted conditions. The lots were generally just kind of strewn with garbage. There's illegal dumping happening on one of the lots. We also did a title search, and one of the properties in particular we could not determine the owner of the property. It appears to be a street that the city vacated, but we could not find any ordinance vacating it or any in the street vacation registry. There's 2 of them, and neither of them had any recorded evidence of vacating the street.
Clean up this area from being a pig pen.
Yes.
It's a damn good idea.
And then the other thing too is it has the potential to create about 100 jobs.
Yep, so, I mean, you can flip through the photographs and sort of documents all the conditions that are in the report. But also, I know that there's a lot of concern about the condemnation issue. And I'd like to remind everyone that you really have to have 3 things in order to condemn property. It has to be declared in need of redevelopment by this resolution. It then has to be in a redevelopment plan, and it has to appear on an acquisition list. So today, we are just doing a resolution declaring it in need of redevelopment and nothing more. So this alone will not give the city condemnation authority. You would have to follow up with this with a redevelopment plan that has an acquisition list on it. So today, we are not proposing this.
Can get taken without several times of people coming back to this body and getting permission.
And then there's the money issue. But legally, this is just one of really those 3 steps that would be necessary.
Okay, just want to make sure that you make a proper notice to all the property owner, right?
I sent a certified notice. Many of them came to the planning board meeting. One of them flew in from Texas to be there. They made comments to the planning board. We have the transcript of their comments. They were very well advised as to what's going on and what that meant for their property rights. So they're all very well aware of it.
So essentially what's happened is because of a case in Harrison, it's called the Harrison notification, which they've codified to make sure everybody's properly noticed. We followed those rules for the Harrison notification.
And those notices spell out in very clear English that having your property declared in need of redevelopment may result in condemnation. So they were fully notified as to what this meant.
Okay, thank you. 2 items, 3 items. Oh, okay. So we'll do them first and then bite JC, and you guys all have to stay for that, okay? Good? Come on up. I'm sorry, you did ask something. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Good evening, Council President and Council. My first item is 10Z.
10Z, as in zebra.
As in zebra, yes. Okay, so in coordination with the DPW, just so everyone's aware, this is the first year that the city, and not the JCIA, will be submitting their recycling tonnage report and grant submission, which actually occurred already. This is a formality of that grant submission, which authorizes the submission and the execution of a subsequent grant contract.
This is the authorizing of the submission that was submitted.
That was submitted, yes, yes. Just to be clear. So, may you please grant permission.
She says it.
This also makes me the official certified recycling coordinator for the city.
Okay.
It's a specific certification that we need to have, which I have. So that's why I'm working with the DPW, just to be clear. The second item I have is 10Z1. This is basically a resolution asking you to allow us to enter into a cost reimbursement agreement with the state. We're accepting federal funding for, I believe it's 9 intersections along Summit Avenue, reconstruction of handicap ramps, and any other intersection improvements needed.
Questions about Z1? Hearing none.
Okay, my final item is Z5, 10Z5. This is a resolution authorizing us to renew a contract with Gen Electric. They handle all of the knockdowns and general maintenance of our 275-plus intersections that are signalized, traffic signalized. We are exercising the second year of that contract. When we went to bid, yes, Councilman? Yes, sir.
Because we're getting numerous complaints up in C and in D. The traffic lights are horrible. You can travel down Central Avenue, you get stopped on one block, the next light is red. You go to that light, it turns green, the next light is red. Go down Baldwin Avenue, same thing. I've been calling Monty, I drive Monty crazy. But something has to be done to coordinate these lights. They are horrible. And this company here, you know, they've been around for a while. I don't understand. We're paying them doggone good money, and they're doing a horrible job, as far as I'm concerned.
As far as the timing on the intersections themselves, they will not do them unless we specifically tell them to.
Well,
So,
I mean,
I will say that specifically in the Central Avenue corridor, we have been looking at that. Various residents have brought that to our attention. There's one
Central
particular
Congress
intersection that we believe may be throwing the entire thing off, and that's Bowers and Central.
Bowser Central and the Congress Street.
And Congress.
Yes.
I can't-
Terrible. I can't stand it.
Come up Garfield Avenue, come down Baldwin, come down Summit. It's like every block you're getting stopped. It's green, the next one's red. That turns green, the next one's red. This is wrong. You
It's
gotta
not,
keep the traffic moving. It's not
Councilman-
your fault, Joe.
No, I
know.
understand. You haven't seen an increase since they closed Baldwin at 135, have you?
An increase in what?
In the troublesome, the issues with these signals that you speak of.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Have you noticed
Ask
major?
Monty. I call Monty all the time.
But Monty's our permit coordinator, so it'd be more of, Andrew Vicio.
You know who the biggest complainer is? My wife.
Okay.
No, don't worry about it. Okay, Joe. The number one as a traffic issue is Summit and the State Highway 139. When the people try to cross the state through 139, probably they give us like a 10 seconds. And
That's
they
a
give
state-controlled signals.
Yes, there's a major problem. So now traffic backed up to State Highway, Summit Avenue, to all the way up to Manhattan Avenue. If we're lucky. In worst case, come to almost to Bauer Street. The traffic is terrible. So because
especially bad southbound.
yes, because of southbound. The southbound, northbound, the same things, but they have only 10 seconds cross State Highway, and they were like a 40-second to moving more than minutes for the State Highway. You know what I'm saying? So they have cross bumps. So we gotta look into it because we got a lot of email from the people complaining. Please, okay?
Okay.
Other than that, thank you for your great job.
Joe, please keep your promise to the people of Allen Terrace.
Absolutely.
Because they'll hang me.
I was just going there right now. Just so you know, the final ward where we ended our road program for the year due to the weather and various other factors is your ward, but we promise that we will hit those 8 streets that remain, including Allen, first thing when the spring weather breaks and the asphalt plants reopen.
See, this is the problem.
In the spring.
When they go whether they do all other area of Georgia City, but ward D and C left the cold. We cannot even finish it.
I'm going to explain why. C, we pretty much finished. Allen, I added at the last minute. If you recall, we did all the streets in Ward C and jumped to D. But Allen was left behind in previous selection process, so we added Allen. That's the only reason why it's at the bottom of the list. Ward D was held till last because of the Western Slope deliberations with the one-way. If you recall, we had the 3+ neighborhood meetings. And thank you, sir. Thank you.
Did you notice that when repaving?
It's okay.
Yeah, the thickness of the paving seems like a little
2 inches.
2 inches, right?
Unless we have a major problem like we did on Ocean Avenue. If you all recall how bad Ocean Avenue was, we took it all the way down to the cobblestones, put back 2 inches of base and 2 inches of top. So it was a 4-inch project on Ocean Avenue, but it hadn't been touched in over 20 years, so. Maybe longer.
So my gut feeling seems like it's not 2 inches. Did you check that?
We have random testing done on every, not every single roadway, but It goes by lots. There's a calculation that we follow by the DOT standard. And the absolute minimum is 1 1/4 inches allowed. So if we specify 2 inches, 1 1/4 is the absolute minimum.
Okay.
Anything less than that, it fails, and we do more testing.
Okay.
We haven't reached that point on any street yet so far. Councilwoman.
So, kind of transitioning to the next, and the reason why I asked for you to stay is, so Bike JC is here to kind of come and talk to the council. They had asked me, and I had submitted a resolution kind of asking the city to really study Grand Street, because we've had numerous accidents on Grand Street, resulting in, especially with people on bikes, resulting in deaths. We've had people hit trying to coming out of the Jersey City Medical Center. And this was something that, quite frankly, I think that I requested before you guys, you and Andrew specifically, really joined. But it is something I asked about 3.5, 4 years ago, and we've really seen no movement. So the resolution's not here. I'm not sure where if perhaps it was withdrawn because we don't normally give resolutions to ourselves. But I would like for this body to sit here and listen to the things that Bike JC has to say. They are valuable. We should be paying attention to Grand. It's a disaster. It's, just to give you an example, my son rides his bike sometimes into Bayonne because he goes to the gym out there, and we were talking about how does he get there, and we talked about going up Garfield and using the bike lanes and everything, and I said, oh, is that safe? I wasn't sure how fast Garfield was. He said, it's fine, Mom, it's fine. I said, well, what about Grand Street? And his comment was, well, Mom, you'd have to be an idiot to ride your bike on Grand Street. It's crazy. And so for my 17-year-old son who has no concept of fear, to be fearful of Grand Street is just another proof point that it is really, really, really dangerous. I've had police officers tell me that they can make it going 60 miles an hour all the way from Communipaw down to the waterfront, never hit a red light. It's just an unsafe road, and I don't want anybody else to pass away because we haven't done something about it. So with that, I would like Bike JC to come and kind of give their perspective, and they have some recommendations.
I have a
Just
question.
as,
I have a question before.
If I can just, if you have the gentleman from Bike JC come up.
I'd like to ask my question before this because it's
Okay.
about paving. So I just want to know, is the same asphalt used all over the city? Is it the same thing, or do you have different, for better roads, a heavier turf, or, is the
Yes.
same asphalt used everywhere?
That's a great question. No, it's not the same. It depends on the volume and which part of the actual layer, the matrix that it's going to go in. So, for example,
Inexpensive asphalt one place and more expensive asphalt another place?
it's not that simple. No, for the most part, the asphalt binder is where the majority of the cost is, and the asphalt binder is by the ton. That's set by monthly indices that the DOT actually publishes. Yeah, it's a petroleum product, and it's roughly the same percentage across the board. The only thing that changes is the size of the stone and the amount of sand aggregate that's mixed in with the asphalt. So, for example, Ocean Avenue, I had mentioned, we milled down 4 inches. We put back 2 of a base, so it was a thicker stone base, and 2 of the normal top that we put everywhere else in the city. So, another street that we're looking to do is Thomas McGovern Drive. It's very, very heavily traveled by large tractor trailers. That one will probably be to the surface with the larger stone aggregate. And that's very common. That goes back to the Marshall mixes from the military, which have been phased out, but now SuperPave has taken its place, and the DOT has its own specific criteria for each of those types of.
And I couldn't believe it, but I told them I was going to bring it up at the next council meeting, that they use different
It might be a matter of a dollar.
asphalt in Ward F and Ward A than they do in
Actually,
some of the other wards.
No, specific to Ocean Avenue, we really went full design, full matrix on that asphalt because it was so bad all the way down to the bottom. So if you put 2 inches on, if you put a 2-inch Band-Aid on it, it's significantly better.
Okay, so just getting back to, if you could give these, Joe, if you can allow these, if we could pull up some seats here for the representatives from Bike JC. So as Candace said, she was intending to introduce a resolution, asked if Representative from Bike JZ could present and speak to the resolution, but there is no resolution on this agenda. But we would love to hear your input, because the resolution was for, correct me if I'm wrong, Candace, the resolution was intended for the Division of Traffic and Engineering and other folks to explore and study ways to address and take appropriate actions to address bike safety issues. And so we have members of the bike community, leaders in the bike community here in Jersey City.
We may get it back on in
Yep.
time for Wednesday night. We may tweak a little bit of the wording. It's not meant to, just to be clear, it's not meant to make anybody feel bad, but it is meant to kind of put a stake in the ground as a city council to say we really want Grand Street to be taken seriously.
And paved.
So if you can pull up a seat.
I think that certainly traffic engineering received the message. But
If you can have a seat, then these gentlemen will just share with their thoughts, and you can get the message firsthand. Okay.
We are Tony Borelli and Patrick Collin from Bike JC. Hello. We understand that there may need to be tweaking of language in the resolution. What we're really looking for is an initial sort of a conceptual declaration of support for something to be done on the street. And we do have particular ideas because this problem exists in a lot of cities and it's being solved increasingly in a specific way. In fact, it was just solved in a very same way in Hoboken by two things. One of them, a road diet in which the number of car lanes on one of these 4-lane suburbanized roads is reduced to 3. And the middle lane becomes a turning lane. You can actually see exactly that done pretty well on Observer Highway right over our borders. Also in Hoboken, you will see a separated protected bike lane next to it. That's just one of many designs. We actually have some little visual conceptual designs to show how it could look right on Grand Street, but that obviously is something that would be subject to engineering's expertise and a lot of other input. We just want to get the ball rolling and get your support for the general idea. This is something that's becoming very common. It's being done in New York City, including now moving out to the outer boroughs. Newark has a protected bike lane that shrank a particular road on Mont Prospect Avenue. That's been in operation for a year and a half, 2 years, I think. And both of those towns, Hoboken and Newark, have plans for more. We don't have any, and we believe that they're going to become quite common here and in any city because they frankly work. They greatly improve safety, and giving space to cyclists makes a corridor, an arterial road like that, a viable transportation corridor for cycling, which we have little bike lanes around the neighborhoods now which function well enough for very, very short trips, but as I think everyone acknowledges, they're not really connected. It's tough to get between neighborhoods that way. Another thing that protected bike lanes do, where you have an actual barrier, is it gets cyclists off the sidewalk. It's a very common complaint in this town. We can only tell them so many times. We don't do it. But when you do that, you're also opening up the sidewalks for pedestrians, making them safer and more welcoming. Who wants to ride a bike on Grand Street? Now, we do it, but, we're seasoned urban cyclists. Nobody else does. It's an important road. People need to use it. We're not trying to kick cars off it. In fact, this kind of road diet has been shown to be mostly neutral to actually getting cars through. It's kind of counterintuitive, but it's like a small chaotic line versus a longer smooth line. Channeling traffic this way, actually, it reduces the brake checks and the people getting cut off. But it also reduces the opportunity for people to go 60 miles an hour. We've been out there with radar guns too, and we've seen them doing that at all times of day and night. It works. This is something that New York City now has a budget specifically for this to do a certain number of protected bike lanes and removal of a car lane here and there every single year in perpetuity. This is an ongoing project, and we believe that it should start somewhere in Jersey City.
We have a couple of questions.
I'm sure there are many.
We have Councilperson Rivera and then Councilperson Coleman.
I love the idea. So the question that I have,
particularly on the picture that you guys provided, which is this part of Grand Street. So normally, within that strip, during morning hours and evening hours, it probably take about close to 45 minutes maybe to get from one corner to another. I work at the hospital, so I know that firsthand. So I'm afraid that just, omitting one lane and making it so small, and now you're going to like increase the traffic, more than probably 3 or 4 times.
That's a completely common sense fear that I would have myself if I hadn't seen the opposite happen a bunch of other times. I think there was a study on 8th Avenue, New York, after they did it there, and they were amazed that the traffic was actually getting through faster on average. The top speeds were down, which is part of the safety benefit, but because people weren't having fender benders and cutting each other off and jockeying for position, you actually got cars through a little bit faster. Overall, they're more neutral. I'm not going to say it's going to improve them.
Did the study have that type of effect immediately, or was there like growing pains to the?
Fairly soon. I'm going to say there was within 6 months or a year when, believe me, all the advocates were crowing about it immediately. So they once they saw the data, they circulated it widely.
My concern is he works at the medical center, so he knows about getting from that area down. Well, I travel from the junction down to Johnson Avenue, and if you were to stop one of those lanes, the bikes would kill themselves just like we do, because that whole road is like, you can't speed down that road. If you do, you're gonna throw your car over. So you're going slow there because it's just bump after bump after bump. So if you make that a bike lane on that side, that'll keep people out of the bump after bump, but it's not safe. So with these ideas, you'd have to work closely with them, because the areas that you do that, they need paving, and that's a long strip from the junction all the way down to Johnson Avenue, I'll say. That's a long strip, and it's like that entire strip. So my concern is that paving needs to happen for safety as well as blocking off a street.
No doubt.
Candace, Danny, Rich, your hand up? No.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that like that, so this is like an example of something. I think really like just taking it a step back, it's just the concept to say, we need to focus on it. It needs to be safer. It needs to be the whole. It is. Grand Street's very dangerous. It's dangerous for everybody. It's dangerous for car drivers because they're going to inadvertently hit somebody one day. Not one day. It's happened multiple times, as we know.
You remember the crash at Grove and Grand a few years back? I mean, 3-car crash that killed 2 people and looked like a bomb site afterwards. I mean, it's a ridiculous road.
So I think this is a little bit less, this is an example of something, but really the big picture is let's do something.
So I'm actually happy. Danny and Chris. So I'm actually happy that, because I got worried with the street. So if it's an example, I can take that, but my next question would be then, what's like the trajectory time, or what's the time span that you spend on a research study to get something like this going? Working, I guess, with traffic and engineering. What's like what you guys have encountered?
We don't really know since we haven't actually done it in this city. One good thing is that there are examples of it increasingly that can frankly be copied, which is a good thing. That it's been studied by other people and.
I guess Kennedy Boulevard, Cara. I mean, she's been doing a whole lot of work in this area of pedestrian safety, but pedestrian safety and bike safety goes hand in hand. So I think there'd probably be better coordination if everyone came together with a more comprehensive plan for the city, pedestrian and bike safety. Along Grand Street, JFK, Communipaw, all these thoroughways where we have bike lanes, but we need to.
I think I would just recommend to the body, what you could do, which you don't need a reso, by the way, to do either, is you should form a committee of the council with no more than 3 members, and you should have staff participants, someone from engineering. Stacy has recommended someone from her office who could also facilitate with some of this from a health and safety standpoint, and then invite someone from Bike JC and someone from the pedestrian group, and form an ad hoc committee that way, which is something within the council's powers to do. That would be
Council
the
President's powers.
well,
Just
you can
saying.
say it if you want.
I will say it.
But that's what I would recommend.
Has conducted, with the county and city, an extensive amount of study over the past year already, so.
Yes.
And then that's
Tomorrow she has a meeting.
Yeah, we'll be at that meeting as well.
And that committee can report back to this body, and then you can hold that committee accountable to make sure it's progress.
And Safe Streets JC, by the way, the group we're speaking of, does support what we're doing, as do over 1,000 people who signed a petition specifically for this type of project. Council President Navarro may remember the day a year and a half ago when we kicked off this campaign across the street at Cravery, and we've been on and off gathering support for it ever since.
Meantime, the Grand Street so dangerous. Just a bike rider, then put your temporary sign, no bike in Grand Street, that's it.
No bike on Grand Street?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ride on it anyway.
We get some kind of a comprehensive plans, you know what I'm saying?
Councilman,
It's like pulling the benches out of the park.
Right.
You don't want the
No, just
we ride on the side streets that parallel Grand Street.
We
when,
avoided
you know,
ourselves.
We avoided ourselves,
We're the best
honestly.
at this,
Yeah.
frankly. One thing I should mention is that this is a very special street for cyclists because it wraps around Liberty State Park, where all the recreational cyclists go, including our mayor, our racing cyclists. It also leads down, it connects all different neighborhoods from Bergen Lafayette Communipol all the way down to Exchange, different kinds of uses, different kinds of businesses. It leads to the waterfront bike walk path, so you'd be making a bicycle connection to better enable alternative transportation. There are people who use the waterfront to get around by bike. You're helping get people out of their cars if they choose to. You're giving them a safe option. And yet you're not stopping cars from going through on any street. There are no pedestrian plazas in any of our proposals. There are no car bans. As I said, these projects are known to continue to get cars through the area. I should also mention the Jersey Avenue connector. That bridge is going to bring even more cars, including a lot of people from out of town shortcutting at high speed to the Holland Tunnel. That's exactly the kind of driver who thinks twice about it when the street's not going to allow them to go, 50 miles an hour every time they come through.
Folks,
Joe, just one question.
Go ahead. Last comment.
Joe, do you have any alternate route for bikes other than Grand Street then?
Well, funnily enough, that's what part of the reason. There really isn't, because to get around Liberty State Park, you have to go. It's the last avenue before you get to Liberty State Park, and that's why it gets a lot of bike traffic. You've got, there's a city bike dock there, there's like more than one in the area.
So I will charge a council committee staffed by DPW, Health and Human Services, and we'll kick that off and get that moving as soon as possible.
We will have some supporters at the public meeting on Wednesday, however this goes procedurally. Just as a courtesy, we will be going down there to sort of express these views publicly, get some of our folks to rally.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe, are you done with your agenda stuff?
My agenda stuff is complete.
Okay. Who else is here?
Just to have it so you can see what.
Stacy, come on up. Folks, let's get back to our agenda.
Oh, AJ just slipped in.
Okay,
Come on, we got 3 items for Stacy.
Actually, it's grown to 4. Well, I'm doing it on behalf, because no one's here from Human Resources, so. Okay, so 3D.
3D.
It's an ordinance supplementing Chapter A 351, Executive Orders and Ordinances of the Jersey City Code to create a new classified position for Principal Community Organization Specialist. I would like to introduce you to Linda Juma. She's a Principal Community Organization Specialist. She can do things like a health impact study that would lead to a road diet, and it's the ability to give the health department sort of a higher level individual with the kind of training. So Linda comes to us with an MPA from Rutgers, Newark, has been working for almost 10 years in state government, and I think those are the types of people that when we're asked by an organization like JC to have someone on our team that actually knows how to put those pieces together. Yeah, I know. Shalley's also been put in that title name because she didn't get a qualified title, so we created that. Yeah. Who also has a master's in event planning. Okay, next item is, yes, Linda. Linda joined us 2 weeks ago. 10Q.
10Q.
It's a resolution authorizing the annual renewal of a 5-year grant agreement between the City of Jersey City and Hudson County Department of Health and Human Services to fund the Jersey City Municipal Alliance and the submission in order to receive the grant funds for the period of July 1st, 2017 to June 30th, 2018. This is on the agenda because we submit our plan to the county. The county wanted the plan by the 14th. They know they're not getting it by the 14th. So getting it by the morning of the 15th would be sufficient for them. This is year 2 of the 5-year grant. This is the Jersey City Municipal Alliance that does the alcohol prevention programming where we sub-grant to organizations like PAVCOM, Hudson Pride, NJCU, Educational Arts, Camp Liberty. These are all the prevention youth programs that are funded by the health department.
Any questions? No. Hearing none. Next item.
Next item is 10W, resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to execute a grant agreement with and accept funds from the County of Hudson Department of Health and Human Services, Office of Aging. This is Meals on Wheels, and congregate meal sites. So this is the 75% of the funding that we get allocated, 25% you put in appropriations of the 2017 budget that pays for the nearly 1,000 seniors that are homebound that get either 5-day or 7-day meal plan, and the nearly maybe 300 seniors that go to one of our 9 meal sites for congregate meals, like the Connor Center, like Collier Center, like Boyd McGinnis, et cetera.
Any questions? Hearing none. Z2.
Z2.
Contract for animal control services. This is authorizing the use of competitive contracting.
Yes. So this is, I brought Paul over here. I think there's, over the course of time, as part of the transition plan, was a vision to seek support with animal control services. We constantly wind up in a situation where we never have enough staff or not the right staffing pattern, and so we're seeking the ability to go out for bid for animal control services.
Any questions? To go out for competitive contract.
You
Nope.
can. All right.
Next item.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. How quick that was?
How many you guys got? 7? Anyone less than 7? 5? Come on up with 5.
5 and 7.
5 maybe 7.
5 and 7.
Which ones are yours, Pat?
Okay, I'm going to start off with Resolution 6-819. It's a rejection of a bid. Or 10Z3.
Z3, that's for chain link.
Correct.
Fencing.
We're rejecting the bid here. Why are we rejecting?
More
Our
than we
estimate came in,
budgeted.
a lot more money. Our estimate came in at $450,000. The bid price was $1,195,000.
Rejecting the bid.
Okay.
All right, Z4, declaring APS contracting in default of the West District Police Precinct Project and authorizing claim on performance bond.
That's not. No, that's not us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm going
I
to
apologize.
10Z6.
You're gonna go to Z6.
All right, that's to replace 8 vehicles due to high mileage, and that has to do with the fire department.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that with
All right.
Director
Shay.
Shea. Okay.
10Z10. That was the labor and installation of electrical equipment for the storage tent. This tent is located at the DPW facility.
Questions about Z10?
No.
Next item.
10Z11. This is HVAC and boiler maintenance for over 40 locations. Amber Air.
Any questions on the renewal?
We give them $60,000 annual allowance for the pot. How much they used last year? But this year, whatever, either one.
I know their contract amount is $244.
We get $60,000 allowance for the pot. Did they use any allowance, or how much they use it?
No, I gotta find that out.
Please find out, just let me know, okay?
I will.
All right.
Let you know.
Okay.
Any other questions on 10Z11? No. Okay, your next item, Pat?
Next item is 10Z12. This is to supply and deliver hardware supplies to maintain all city-owned buildings and facilities. This is an open-end, this is with Duncan Hardware, and it's an open-end contract.
Any questions about 10Z12? No. Local vendors, one of the few.
All right.
13, that's the open-end contract.
10Z13, open-end contract for plastic bags.
Low-Pack Corporation.
Correct.
Okay,
That's it.
that's it. Thank you. They're leaving. No.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Rich. There was a mechanical problem at Persian Field with the ice machine. It makes a screeching sound and is like fingernails clawing glass, only very, very loud. The neighbors are really upset, and no one is getting back to them. It goes all night and wakes people up. Someone said it was a belt in the machine. Now, I've gotten about several complaints on Persian Field.
Rich, I heard you say that earlier.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Councilman. I heard you speak about that earlier. I'm going to look into it tomorrow. That's a brand-new machine. That should not be happening. So we'll get on that first thing tomorrow morning.
You're not leaving yet. 10I. Yeah, 10I is a resolution approving the appointment of Patrick Stamato as the Director of the Department of Public Works.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So far you're doing a real good job, and I'm happy. I go up to DPW often, I really like, the fact that, you're doing good. And, I also like the fact that together with Hector, you guys are gonna really, make that place and Mr. Dublin and Marty Valenti over there, you guys are really doing a good job. Just want to publicly say that.
Councilman, thank you very much. You got a great team. So it's pretty easy for someone. For me, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilman, Ian? Okay.
What's that? I know, they lost. They lost, Councilman. But it was a good game. You know what? You can't, they lost, but they won, because West Point deserved to win. So, I mean, how do you fight, Yes, I saw it all. It was very exciting. I recommend it to anyone. I mean, you can't beat it. It's American football. It's true sport.
But you listen, quarterback, everybody else.
Well, I'm sad because you had players, starting players that were on sidelines.
Yeah, but you know why, Navy always... Come on, Georgie, let's go back to business.
Giants, Cowboys.
Don't forget John Lynch.
Go Giants. Go Giants.
Oh, you forgot John, yeah.
Who else is here from the city employee who has an item on the agenda? David, you still got something else?
Yeah, but I didn't want to think so.
Okay. What else you got?
We have, not really mine.
Okay, that's it. Let's, NW Financial is here. Why don't we bring that up first? I'm not sure. Which item are you at? Do you know?
Hi, Dennis.
Hold on 1 second.
I'll let Tim lead the way in here for moral support. It's Tim Eismeyer, I'm Dennis Enright.
Do you know which item we're talking about?
I'm Greg Corrupt.
Where's stay filmed.
Are you here on the sale of the, are you here on the POS, Dennis? Trying to figure out what.
25 Columbus. The 25.
I think we were for like a contract. Somebody told me it was a contract.
No.
No, you can give us one though, it's all right.
Do you want to take the 25 Columbus first? No, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Okay. Yeah,
There's
finish
no
what
one
you-
else for 25 Columbus to pass it.
Not yet. Not yet. Go back out? Yeah.
I thought you were here for a contract. I'm sorry. Let's take it from the top and then we'll get to everybody in the goals. Let's start with 3A. Starting from the top, folks. 3A is an ordinance approving a 30-year tax exemption.
For KKF Block 1 and B, companion for KKF Block 5B. 3A and 3B.
3A, 3B. We have representatives on behalf of KKF here. Introduce yourself, Mr. McCann.
Good evening, Council. Jim McCann on behalf of the applicant on both of these ordinances. I'm also here with my colleague Nevins McCann, who's co-counsel on this project. I thought first I'd just tell you a little bit about KKF. They are a New Jersey-based developer. They've been developing real estate in the state of New Jersey for about 50 years and other parts of the Mid-Atlantic also. They have commercial projects, they have residential projects, over 3,000 units built by them, some rental, some condos, and they also have experience working with universities to build student housing. And that's part of the reason why we're here today, because this is a project in conjunction with New Jersey City University, and I believe Jen Masway and some other folks are here on their behalf. So we have two tax abatements tonight. They're both in the West Campus, which I believe you're familiar with for some previous projects that came to you during the summer. The project that's first on the agenda is the Block 1 project, which is located, you know, the redevelopment areas between West Side Ave and Route 440. And the first project is Block 1 on Carbone Place. And then the second project is Block 5B, further down on this map, right in here. Both projects are very similar. The first one is 152 units, approximately 12,000 square feet of commercial space, 23 garages, 16 surface parking spaces, and my client is going to enter into a parking agreement with the university to park cars in this lot here, which is being built and will remain in the ownership of the university. Now, I should mention to you that both of these projects the university is going to continue to own the land pursuant to New Jersey Economic Development Statute that was adopted in 2009 that makes it possible for universities and private developers to get together to do development on university property. So the land for these projects will continue to be owned by the university. My client is going to sign a 50-year ground lease to develop the land. That's how this project is set up pursuant to this statute. The project was also approved by the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, both of these projects. The project down here called 5B is 149 residential units. It has 151 parking spaces, which are built right into this project. Both of these projects are low-rise. They're 4-story projects. They fit in. They comply with the redevelopment plan. Each project is expected, the project Block 1 is expected to create about 264 construction jobs. It is a PLA job that's required by both the state and by the city, so it's a PLA job. This project down here, 298 jobs expected to be created during construction. The project up here has a little bit more permanent jobs because it has some retail, so there's about 24 permanent jobs, some part-time jobs involved. And that's basically, in a nutshell, both of these projects, which are the KKF projects before you tonight. I can answer questions regarding the terms of the tax abatement if you would like. It's all in your ordinance.
Can you talk them down to 15 years or 10 years? Because read J.C. list. People are throughout the city. I don't care, the Journal Square. I mean, 30-year abatement should be gone. The city is doing very well. We don't need this.
Well, I think the reason that we're requesting a 30-year tax abatement on this project is because, one, it is in an area of the city that really still needs a lot of redevelopment, and two, this is a project in conjunction with the university. We're hoping you see that it's important to help develop the university's property and their west campus, which it is a blighted area, so.
This is in Ward A, and we've been waiting a long time for something to come to Ward A. This is an area that, once it gets going, is really the starting point for the much larger project that is right across 440 on the west side, which is going to be huge. Now, I understand I understand with the numbers, but when we started and we were looking at Journal Square, we had no problem in approving 30-year abatements for the projects there at the start. Right. Hey, I'm not done, Rich. Now it's come to Ward A.
Right.
So we had the two originally up here, and it passed unanimously because it's an area that deserves to be developed. It sits on the borderline of A and B. Carbon Place is the borderline, so it's going to affect everybody. It's going to affect B and A heavily. And not only that, it's going to continue down to the end where we're going to have restaurants. You're going to have a ShopRite, and some of the buildings in the front, there's going to be some restaurants. We deserve to have what everybody else gets. And why not in Ward A?
What is that? Nothing. Franny, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying 30-year abatement should be
Nothing
fair.
against Country Village. There's not a lot of retail opportunities in Country Village. Councilman Young.
What shopping?
Yes, I think this is the first time I heard that Councilman Frank has a long speech, really. He usually not that much say, but
I'm laconic.
yeah, because he has a passion for this project.
He's been working on this.
Yes,
for a while.
yes. So that's what it is. Okay, so we're not against any project. You know what I'm saying? We're not against the project. The project is a good project. You know, I don't know what I'll say, but but issue. Councilman Rich Bojano's concern is that we already proved that the one project 30 years tax abatement with even we issue bond for the infrastructure first. Now this is a second project coming, two pieces of that. So now our concern is number one, this is actually general consent to District Council 2013, and a certain documentation should be attached with ordinance, but the missing is a comparison chart between pilot program and the conventional tax. That documentation is missing, so we'd like to have the documentation first, okay? So at least this council knows that over the 30 years, what's supposed to pay as a conventional tax, what's supposed to pay by pilot
We'll get you
program.
that chart.
Okay, I'd like to have that documentation.
We'll have that email to you. Who's going to take care of that? We'll have an email.
Yeah. Folks, let Councilman Young finish.
I'm so hungry. So I try to rush, but try. Listen to me. The most project in that area, they pay 11% the annual gross revenue as a fee paid to City of Jersey. But this one, they try to down to 10% if they compliance, this is the whole, compliance, PRA, and the PACA.
Well, that's actually included in all of our new abatements. That was in the updated plan. It was something that the committee talked about. It's not specific to this.
City Council approved that one of the reasons tax of the long tax because they create a job. So now, this agreement is clear say that financial, agreement is clear say that they have to follow the PRA and PAC already. That's the requirement, and that's they have to do. If they not follow the PRA or PACA, we, as a City of Jersey, have a right to revoke the contract, the tax abatement. So now, they supposed to do something they're supposed to do, and we're going to give loaded their annual fee, 1%. This one is a very clear show to us, this council, they will favor. Another one.
I would just answer that, 'cause that's completely wrong.
And also, most tax abatement after city council approved, they're supposed to start construction in 2 years. This one, 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So now,
Only one of them, though. Only one of them, Councilman.
one of the other one is just 4 years.
One of them starts immediately. This project will go into construction in the springtime of 2017. But you're right, this one has a 4-year sunset period. And that's because I think there was a determination made that there are 2 other projects that you recently approved for tax abatements. You can't put all of the projects onto the market at the same time. Some staggering should probably occur to ensure the success, because you want all these projects to succeed. So to have one a little bit behind the rest of them is really a good thing, because you control the amount of units coming on the market, and then the rents don't drop because you want the rents to stay stable because you get a percentage of gross revenue. So I think really that's the reason for the delay in the one project.
You know what? You say right. Did you read the financial agreement here? See, that is the problem what we have. When Jeremy, our Caucus counsel, when he shake the head, yes, 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 I feel uncomfortable. One, financial agreement, the page 2, B1, 2. If that, we give the time to 4 years, because they want to see that the other project is a succeed. If other project succeeds, that project doesn't need a 30 years tax abatement. Then you guys should come back 2 years later, maybe different administration, well, this administration, who knows what, they should be asked 2 years later. You know what I'm saying? So now you guys wait till to see their first project to succeed.
This is all one project.
No. We already give two projects 30 years already. One or two? Too many. We get so many 30 year tax abatements, I'll get confused once in a while. But listen.
It's a deal that the university has with 3 different developers. And the project is only one. That's why the infrastructure bond that was authorized treats the whole site and the whole project. There's just 3 developers that are taking charge of the site. As such, that's why you're seeing, separate applications. You have the application from the prior developer, and you have the 2 applications from this one. This project, and I can tell you, which was negotiated for a long time, wouldn't have come to fruition had the financial information not been put out there so that the university knew what it was marketing to the developers that were going to be working on the project, while there was a state authority, there was an authority under a state statute, a state law, that has already expired.
P3.
So they had the public-private partnership law about to expire, and they needed to all come in and to all get their projects approved. And that's why, now that they have all the paperwork ready, we're bringing the tax abatements for your consideration. With respect to the policy, I will concede that we have a difference in terms of opinion, but that's why we took our time for 2 years to write down what the tax abatement policy was going to be in the city, which for the first time was published for everyone to see, and divided where the development in the city was going to go. At some point, in years from now, whatever it is, it will need to be revised to reflect what the market is. But the reality is that there was no market for this project to go through had the city not made that investment. And there are other areas in the city where the same applies. So, in order not to belabor the point, we understand we're at a disagreement in terms of how long they should be in certain areas and for what. But the reason why the developer is here is because there was a set policy. They saw that the city compromised itself as to what the terms were going to be, so that they and the university in this case could go to the market and say, yes, this is a project that we believe will be successful, and that we know that the city is going to be a partner with us.
Based on this project, some kind of benefit to NJCU, their fund can be help us, the student, for debt-free, education.
Right.
That's why actually, that's the first time in over the 3 years, Councilman, I support 30 years of tax abatement, you know what I'm saying? That's the one reason, because I want to make sure Jersey City kid go NJCU, they graduate school without that, really. That's every city party's dreams actually there. So we support it. But now, I'm supporting the project itself, yes. As Frank said, they deserve to have some kind of improvement. But this one, 11%, instead of 11% to pay, they want to try it one word that down to 10%. Not only that, that area has a lot of students that live there, but they have no affordable housing units for this project, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not feel comfortable to give 30 years of tax abatement without any affordable housing units provided in those area college students, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not against the project itself. Let me repeat one more time. But financial
Let's
itself,
get a
right?
couple of other voices in here. So Jeremy has a retort, and then Councilman Gadsden, which is, his ward is adjacent to this. It's a big project for Ward B.
I just want to answer your question about the 11%, because I think there's just a misunderstanding around 11%, and the committee that reviewed the policy, council members were part of that committee. They felt very strongly that going forward for this next version of the policy, we wanted to have a carrot and a stick to incentivize union development, to incentivize union hiring and local hiring, which was actually a really smart idea, because it's fine to say that you can just terminate the abatement, but realistically, that's not the best choice for the city in every case. And so we wanted to have a tool in other cases to incentivize developers to make sure that they lived up to our requirement and our interest in having local hiring and having union hiring. It is by design, it's clearly spelled out in the policy, and just to remind everybody, the policy that was articulated is a policy based on different areas of the city. We call them zones. There are several zones. Tiers, sorry. And in each tier, there's a set service charge. It's not the same. So downtown, not only is your abatement gonna be shorter, because we agree, downtown we don't need the long abatements anymore, but you're also gonna pay more per year on that abatement if you wanna do it downtown. But out in the areas of the city most in need of redevelopment, and we include this area amongst those areas most in need of redevelopment, you are going to be able to qualify to negotiate a longer abatement and also an abatement at a lower service charge. But that being said, the service charge is still 10%, and we said we'll go to 11%, and if you show us that you met the requirements and you hired local, we're gonna give you a % back as a reward for helping our city move forward and helping our folks have jobs. That was all by design. It's not a one-off in this project. You would see that in any project in this zone, as you would see in any zone. In downtown, you get an extra %, and if you live up to the obligations of the PLA, you get that % back.
Even though we pay 300 units, those projects, 300, they have no affordable units at all whatsoever, you know what I'm saying?
No, Councilman Gadsden.
I don't have, I guess, a problem with redeveloping, I guess, this whole area, because it was, I mean, definitely an area of life. It's definitely been rehabbed to a point where, you know, all the great development can take place on it. The only thing that I had, I guess over the last 2 weeks, because I'm kind of new, I guess, to all this, I was more so concerned with these stipulations inside of the agreements about the project, labor agreements, and people actually getting to work inside of Jersey City. And so, you know, what I had asked, I guess Pierre in the office was, I had asked for a little bit of information so I could feel more comfortable in moving forward with these agreements about how many Jersey City folks actually have benefited from these projects being developed all throughout the city. And I know this is a great project taking place down in the ward, but I really would like more so assurances that when the developer chooses a contractor, and the contractor chooses a subcontractor, and the subcontractor is out there looking for Jersey City locals to actually participate in work, that it is actually occurring. And so over the next couple of weeks, I will be looking for the information to find out like who actually benefits from it, because, you know, we can develop this whole town, and if, you know, gentlemen who I'm speaking to who are laborers and who are skilled tradesmen are actually not being employed, I think we have to do a little better job on that. And as a developer, whatever can assure us, whatever, that he's gonna make a commitment that when he does hire a contractor, that this particular person is gonna make an all-out effort to find people from Jersey City to actually work, and for local businesses too, like to actually benefit from it. So I really would like to have those.
So Councilman Gadsden, amongst other things that exist, is a redevelopment agreement. So my agency has enforcement powers too, to help enforce local hires, and we will be doing that because we have that written in those good faith efforts beyond the city written into this RDA for this particular redevelopment area, because it's also a P3. So we went further this time because of the public-private partnership. So if you want to sit down at some point and go, this is a little bit different than things we've done in other areas, because this is a kind of a very different scenario, but we're going to be enforcing that as well, because we have already a redevelopment agreement in this area as well. So we can sit down and go through the redevelopment agreement as well, which is a part which you're not voting on tonight. But that's already in existence. That's already put together.
So, and if I could just add to that, we have an Office of Diversity and Inclusion.
He's been in touch with them.
Yep, so if anyone who has skills or trades and so forth, they can get looped in there, and they will make sure that they're made available to the contractor or subcontractor, and notified of their availability for work as well.
I was going to say the exact thing. So if you're approached by any individual who's a tradesman, who's in the union, you get their name to me, and I'll absolutely get them connected to these jobs.
I would just like to add one thing, that we are really pushing that, and especially with the diversity policy that's been put in place for the first time in the history of Jersey City to do business with the city. We're spending that same kind of time on development. If you look on Arlington and Graham Street, you will see that over 70% of the contractors on that job are minority and from Jersey City. So when you go down there and you see that big condo building coming up there, that's over 70% Jersey City residents and minorities.
Yeah, but the only question I have is like where we get this information from, like where we get this data. Like,
Diversity and inclusion. You get it from the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, but it just started, so I've been doing my own in Ward F meeting. I've been gathering. Yes, Reverend.
Contract compliance.
Yeah, Reverend McCray. He's the person. He should have that information. Yeah.
Councilman Young?
Yeah. Probably the last two questions. Do you have any sort of plan to compromise that put just some affordable housing units in that area? That's my first question. Right. Because they build 300 units in the college town, and if they're not provide any affordable housing units, especially where there is not great rich areas there, but most people they're looking for affordable housing units. Do you have any plans? Can we adjust, put in some? That's not number one. Okay, answer me. Or you can explain to why this project is not able to put in the affordable housing units. Tell me.
Respectfully, the project just wasn't designed. The agreement with New Jersey City University wasn't established with the concept of putting affordable housing units in these two projects. And I imagine that might be because the area is still, as I said, very blighted, and I respectfully disagree with you, Councilman, that just because you have 4 tax abatements, that doesn't all of a sudden mean that you've solved the blight problem down there. I think 4 tax abatements at 30 years is just the beginning of solving the blight, as the councilman in Ward A mentioned. But this project just wasn't planned with affordable housing units. So I have to just tell you, there are none in these.
If the tax abatement 5 years or 10 years tax itself, we get to actually gift. You know what I'm saying? But now you were talking in terms of 30 years?
Right, but the only other thing I can tell you is that I believe the tiered policy in some neighborhoods requires affordable housing, in other areas it doesn't. This is not an area where affordable housing is required pursuant to the mayor's policy.
If affordable units should be there.
That's right. I just want to be clear on this. You're right, affordable housing is an important need for the city, and in fact, we have been super aggressive on affordable housing, and we're strategic as to where we do it and what we do with affordable housing. They do have an affordable housing requirement here. It's a cash requirement per the statute. They're gonna make a contribution to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That's what we're doing on this project, but it's by design. This is a comprehensive campus expansion. Sorry, go ahead.
And I was gonna add, again, going back to the reason why this project was coming together is to help not only the expansion, but also to help the financial situation of New Jersey City University. And as you might recall, because you asked this of the president of NJCU, part of the reason is that the money that they are going to be generating from this development is going to help them maintain tuitions at the lowest levels in the state of New Jersey. And you asked that question of her, and she said it. So, this is a not-for-profit state entity that is committing itself to keep tuitions at a very low level in order to be able to sustain that area and to basically keep Jersey City in the map. And it's becoming a premier university that everyone's recognizes because of what we're doing.
And I just want to finish my statement. So everything you're seeing here is by design, and I think it's important, and every once in a while we have to revisit these things, and it's good. And it's very good that you go through these so closely and pull these things out, because it gives us the opportunity to really talk about what we're doing and inform people kind of what's going on. But the important thing to understand here is when we do these development deals and we decide that we're going to incentivize them, we look at the deal and we say, what is possible based on the numbers in the deal, and what are we going to invest that possibility in? Some of the deals we invest in a park. Some of the deals we invest in affordable housing. Some of the deals we invest in recreation space. Some of the deals we will ask for stuff for schools. This particular deal is about schools, and it's about revitalizing that campus, and it's also about revitalizing that neighborhood and that ward. And so the resources in the deal that are expendable to a community benefit, that's where we have invested them in. And I think they're good investments.
Just put your 5% affordable housing, build up 300 units. What is the cause of problem to revitalize that area?
That's expensive.
Tell me.
It's expensive.
Expensive? We give them, they ask 30 years of tax abatement. Not only that, 11% to down to 10%.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
Okay, we exhausted this subject.
Okay.
The state
The state is hugely
Yes,
invested.
yes, the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, it's part of the P3 program. It is a huge part of this program.
We were told the state wants nothing to do with it. We said it right here.
And
how about investing in local homeowners?
And I also want to just add another point on affordable housing. HUD has been very critical of Jersey City and a lot of cities for continually only putting affordable housing in the areas that are in need of development, that are quote-unquote lower economic areas. And so part of our strategy with affordable housing has been to put it downtown, to put it in the areas that have been more successful recently, because it's fair that everyone gets to live in those areas and benefit from the energy and the opportunities in those areas.
And they're more,
That's
they
all
can also
part-
economically sustain it.
So that's all part of the design.
Okay, on to 3C. It's a lease agreement for a lease agreement term of 1 year with 101 Newkirk and Bishmo Ma Academy LLC for the use of parking spaces at 105, 107 Newkirk Street and 165, 169 Academy Street.
Can you explain this one? I don't want to, Jay Shine, is here?
So I have
David Donald, is he here?
David is here.
Can you explain to 3C?
So I'm gonna make a simple request at the outset of this, that we split this into two resolutions, for the two ordinances rather.
There's a resolution for license agreements, and there's an ordinance. I did not write either of these, but I knew that I came anyway, even though.
Yeah, you and I discussed, so it's,
Yeah.
splitting it between Newkirk and Vashnoma, two separate ordinances, for both of them. I'll support the Newkirk thing, but
If that's gonna.
putting that out there, but,
In other words, we sold a lot over by
we sold a lot to somebody and now they're gonna charge us for rent. Like, yeah, I'm not gonna do it. Folks, David's gonna explain himself.
If I could explain what's going on. It took me longer to get this project off the ground.
One of the first things you'll see, there's a resolution 10V, I believe it is, later on, and there's a license agreement. And this is, Councilman Bogiano, this is the project that you wrote the letter in support of on the corner of Newkirk and Tours. I've also gotten that developer to agree to build a parking deck behind the municipal court. So this is temporary. This is temporary, okay? Through February. Well, no, this is actually, I didn't realize this was on there. The license agreement's through February. This is for after February, because it's going to take at least 18 months to build a parking deck. But we're getting the developer who's going to do the project on the corner of Newkirk and Tours. I believe remember you and Danny Rivera had talked to the owner. This is where the Tours monument's going to go. Absolutely, that's part of the letter. That's part of the letter of support. That's part of the agreement. So absolutely. So two things that happened. It took us a little bit longer to get to this point. So our agreement with the people who we sold the original land to, it took longer than 18 months, and I apologize for that. Sometimes things take longer than I would like. But so what's happening is, so you see this ordinance to provide parking spaces for the municipal court employees. That's the city's doing that because our agreement with Vishino Ma at Summit Avenue ran out. That being said, I have a license agreement to do the survey behind the municipal court. Well, it's on here at 10V to do the subdivision and begin to do the subdivision so that we can build a large parking deck that will not only house city employees, some parking for the residents in the area, and get this, we're going to do this parking deck, you'll actually be able to go to the municipal court, find a parking space, and not get another parking ticket. Because I know every time I have to pay a parking ticket, I get another parking ticket while I'm up there. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It's going to take a little bit of time. I apologize that it took so long, but as with anything, you always run into problems that you don't expect. And so we are moving ahead, and I hope, knock on wood, I hope to be in the ground with a parking deck sometime in the fall.
We appreciate it. Let me just clear. We're going to spend $45,000 a year for rent a parking space for the people who work the municipal court. Yes or no? I'm just asking you.
I actually did not write this. That's certainly possible. I didn't add it up. I didn't add this. This is actually not my ordinance. When I heard this was on, I came just to explain that I'm getting close and that this is only temporary.
Okay, all right.
And I'm in the work of building a parking deck.
I requested David. Okay, so Council President, let me ask you.
Yeah.
This is ordinance for, we're going to spend $45,000 a year.
1 year. That's
1 year per year, $45,000 per year to provide a parking space. People walk the municipal court. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now,
actually, before we go any further, though, Corporation Council, I think because people started talking, it got kind of brushed over. I believe John McKinney prepared these ordinances and the resolution 10V. I think that the council president would have liked them separated, one for Newkirk and one for Vishino Ma Academy. Just to have them in two separate ordinances. And again, also with resolution, and I don't know if we can do that at this point. That's.
Because, I'm sorry, you can't. Not me, not tonight. It's, we sold the property to someone and we're gonna rent it back from them. I know it's a different property, but it's the same owner, right? Property owner, it's just a bad.
You know, this is a joke, really, Council President. It's a joke.
So
let me finish.
I'm just letting it know.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize they were all put in one until today. Until I saw I thought they were going to be in separate ones.
Oh God. You know, really.
Councilman, tell me which one it is.
Right. Reason why we have this rent a space because we sold parking lot which is located close to the municipal court, which the lot provide the parking space for the city employee. We sold that lot. At the time, very clear, I think Candice Osman very still remember that. Once we asked, Richie Bojana and I asked them, where the city employee will be parked the car.
You said behind the.
They say the developer gonna provide the parking space till they finish the construction. Where the promise is gone with the wind.
No, I apologize for letting it took longer than I expected to get the deal, so I apologize for that.
I think he may be accurate. I believe the promise was until they finish. We should go back to the videotape on that one.
Yes, but he said very clear.
Warner Wolf.
18 months.
Listen to me, David.
I don't want to step in, but your client of mine, the agreement with the JCRA said they would provide parking for 18 months. They provided it for well in excess of 18 months. And they would have continued to provide it, but their construction lender sent them a letter and said for liability reasons, under no circumstances can you continue to provide parking. Their lender sent that letter, we provided the letter to the city.
Understood, so it was a bad agreement by us, number one. Clearly 18 months has expired and passed, and I think they barely broken ground on it, right? And so really the space is available, but because somebody's saying you can't do this, a regulator or whoever, the financial institution, so it's a bad agreement on our side, and we should have had a better agreement, but I refuse to pay the money back to the person who bought the property from us. It's just, it's nonsensical.
You say right. It's a bad agreement. We made it. Now, I'd like to ask accountability. Who read the contract? Who asked to sign that paper? Really?
It was a bad, it was just. Oh, you signed, you approved it.
I said no.
He said no.
Oh, you voted no then.
Councilman Richie Bojano say no. Rest of the people say yes. Now, I'm gonna ask accountability. And that we, based on probably, I'm not blaming the council, my colleague, probably they say yes because the way you guys make a presentation to this council, they trust you too much.
That's exactly right. You said 18 months.
And I like to somebody pay, not this city taxpayer, somebody at the office pay $45,000. Don't ask us this city council. This is insulting every council members and taxpayer. And now I'm gonna add to one more. This one is bothering me so much. You know why? Before they build the municipal court, one of the Korean gentlemen owned the land, the lot place what they build the municipal court. At the time, that lot, I think a 25 by 100, that lot sold to the guy developer around $800,000. We, 20 years later, cross the parking lot, almost twice bigger than that lot, we sold $800,000, and the twice bigger lot, 20 years later, City of Joy sold $1.2 million. We, owned by city's land, 20 years later, we sell the lot 20 years of the price, 20 years of price, all the price. You know what? To me, as a taxpayer, every lot or land we own, City of Jersey City, that's belong to taxpayer, not one administration. This bothering me so much. You know what? If you not guys clear this matter, I'm going to ask state AG office specially investigate this issue. You know?
Really? There's no criminal offense here.
Good.
You should request it, but there's no criminal offense here. I am very opposed to the idea of granting the contract, but let's not go over the top here. There's no criminal action here. There's nothing in a.
This has been beaten to death.
Yes. Are we gonna get a split?
3E.
Are we gonna get a split on this?
Very uncomfortable.
Well, you can split it, okay.
Yeah.
It's two separate
For the one for Newkirk and one for Vecino Mall. Two separate ordinances, two separate licenses.
But I have to make sure that our employees have a place to park. So let's move on. I just wanted to say that.
I know where I'm gonna stand on it. I'm just saying, and we'll see.
So it can be two ordinances, but.
Yeah, I will definitely split it. And you said
We're creating a classified position for assistant supervisor mechanic. We didn't talk to the folks in DPW before they left. R is a traffic ordinance, amending the parking restrictions for street cleaning purposes on the entire length of DeKalb Avenue. G, a 5-year tax exemption for property located at 71 Skillman Avenue. 5 years. H, an ordinance authorizing the execution of a financial agreement with PH Urban Renewal LLC and other documents related to the authorization and issuance by the redevelopment agency of redevelopment area bonds not to exceed $1 million and determining various other matters in connection therewith.
Can't you, who's gonna be, the person gonna be explained to us?
So, this is the 25 Columbus project. We'll treat, I believe that there's a 25-year tax abatement ordinance.
This is the redevelopment agency, the PH Urban Renewal.
There's another ordinance for a 25-year tax abatement that goes together with this ordinance. I don't know which, in the agenda, I don't have the agenda before me I don't know which order. It's not in it.
We don't have the, it's not on this agenda. Was it added?
The tax abatement. This is the RAB. This is the authorization for the RAB. It's in it. Okay. Okay, so it's all one.
It's all in one ordinance?
Okay.
Okay.
So, got it. This is the project. A few months ago, we were discussing and came in for a change to the redevelopment plan in order to allow for this to be zoned appropriately to have the public school. It's going back, since I know that the framework has been set in terms of the debate about long-term tax abatements. Going back to our policy, one of the components of the policy was a Tier 5, which identified projects that would have at least 20% affordable housing, retention, or building, and would be subject to the possibility of applying for a 30-year tax abatement. This project, it has 5% of the new units that it's going to be target for new affordable housing, and as well, it helps preserve close to 50% of an existing building's units that otherwise would go to market. In addition to that, about 30% of the developable land, the developer has agreed by unanimous resolution from the Board of Education to build a public school. It would be the first public school that would be built by a private developer, certainly in the city of Jersey City. I don't know if any other cities in New Jersey have done it. So there are several components to this, which is what we in the city took into consideration when we were negotiating what the financial package would be. Although the policy calls for 30 years, we negotiated that the term of the agreement would be at 25 years, but I'll yield to Councilwoman.
I just wanted to, sorry, I should have said that before I just wanted to emphasize a little stronger something that you said, because I feel like it got, like I saw an article in the paper and it like certainly got lost, which is that like when the type of affordable housing that was in 100 Montgomery basically is like a federal program that went away, and the way
Section 236.
Thank you, Section 236. And when they bought the building, they basically could turn it all into market rate. They had the option to turn it all into market rate.
So in other words, they expire.
Yes.
Otherwise, and that was a program that was there for 50 years.
So we're looking at a significant number of people who have been in downtown Jersey City and who've been able to kind of stay through a lot of the gentrification, who are at risk of having to leave. So I just want to be really clear. I feel like the newspaper article didn't really give that justice.
And
So anyway.
And the other thing is, a lot of people who live when they're called up, I think give you the exact percentage, but I would say a majority of them are senior citizens or close to being senior citizens.
And to address the questions that you may have, to the extent that you have questions about the financing of the project and to the particular issues that the city analyzed, have asked our advisors at NW Financial to be here to answer those questions. Obviously, the developer and their attorneys are here as well. And there's obviously a redevelopment agreement that will enforce the affordability, the school, and as well infrastructure components. There was another issue that we failed to mention, but in addition, this administration, as you know, we have been emphasizing the issue of sustainability and what are we going to do with our infrastructure. Under this site, and where people see how the situation was during Sandy downtown, there's an 105-year-old sewer line that is in precarious conditions. So this project as well gets to replace that sewer line.
Questions?
I just want to ask one question. I heard the school is going to be a kindergarten, a first grade, and second grade.
Okay.
That's not a grammar
They
school.
need that. No, pre-K needs a school.
No, that's exactly the needs down
We
there.
That's
got
the
charter
need.
schools opening up all over the city.
No,
I mean,
pre-K is needed.
So, can I,
That's what we need downtown.
No,
Okay.
pre-K is needed, I know
so
that.
can I ask,
Councilman,
yes. After build the school, they're gonna, the board are gonna be leased at the space, how they work?
I would allow both Tim and the
Yeah,
developer
can
to
you
explain,
explain to
but
us?
what, so basically, they are building the school for the district and leasing it back to the district for a nominal fee.
Can't
The
you
way-
tell me that that's a nominal fee? Can't you help clear what they mean?
Nominal fee, can you explain to us? Yeah.
May I introduce?
Sure,
My name
yeah.
is John Cortell. I'm here on behalf of L&M Development Partners. We're part of the sponsor team, PH Urban Renewal. We come to you today having, I think, forged a very successful partnership in trying to come up with a site plan and a program that works for folks. We understand from the Board of Ed, for example, their concerted need to have a demographic study, to have demographic gaps filled by a school like this. We also understand that the pressing need not to burden them with an operating expense, burdens of a rental scheme. What we've done here is we've actually gone to the Board of Ed, signed a purchase contract, where upon completion, we will be conveying the structure that will encompass the school to the school district outright for $1. Done.
sold.
So if folks remember the site plan that I presented to some or all of you last time, the Deputy Mayor made a presentation to highlight the fact that we're conceding functionally a third of the new development site area. This area will be owned in fee by the Board of Ed and be used for the Board of Ed for programming needs that it deems necessary and vital. And right now, they've identified a gap at pre-K, K, and first grade, as you said. They've been sensitive to that gap, and this is, we've engaged a good deal of time and effort to try to make this work for their needs. Our architects have been dedicated to working with their planners to assure that the programming in the space is what they want and what they expect to need over time. The only ongoing relationship will be that wall.
So I just asked the nominal fees, what they mean?
Means that the fee,
$1.
dollar,
Sold, they got it. They own it.
It's a purchase contract.
purchase contract.
And they're already,
The board approved this unanimously.
back in August.
Yes, and they're waiting expectantly for, it's all subject to this conversation. We can't build it without you.
Wait, we're at Seams in downtown.
Look, I know the pre-K is necessary, because when we took office, I know parents were calling here because their children had to be bused.
Yep.
And pre-K is a very young age for a child to be bused.
Yep.
So pre-K is definitely needed in that area.
They had 16 school, they had to take 5,
I know.
6, 7, 8.
That was a
9,
cry to parents.
whatever,
not to
6, 7, and 8 out of there just to have, and they're still overcrowded.
Crowded, yeah.
Now they just have through 5th grade. It's
I
crazy.
just want to get clarity on one thing as far as the school goes. I was told, and I want to get confirmation, that it will not be, student placements won't necessarily be based on geography or, is that accurate?
That's my understanding, again.
So anyone can
we have
apply
no-
to these schools?
We have no ongoing.
That's existing rule. Has nothing to do with this.
They can't do
Open enrollment, yeah, is that the word?
Decision.
Is this a neighborhood school or open enrollment? Yeah.
I believe they anticipate it to be open enrollment,
I was
but I
told
don't
it was
think we've
open
done
enrollment.
anything to do, anything to impinge upon their rights.
School that has enrollment on top of it, right?
16 is a neighborhood school.
Yeah. I have that this was an annex to 16. Anyway, I don't know.
So I was told it was open enrollment, so if I can just get confirmation one way or the other in writing?
Yes.
As to whether or not it's open
On or
enrollment?
before Wednesday, we'll try to find out better.
My second thing is, I had a conversation with Marcos. I thought we were changing some of the mix on the number of units with regard to studios and bedrooms.
We did, in fact, we did a reallocation of those affordable units, and
The fiscal impact is reflecting that.
So the fiscal impact is not showing the change?
Right.
Okay.
So just as an FYI, I had talked in taxpayer meeting about changing the mix of the affordable units. And I had suggested, and some of you may agree or disagree, that studio and 1 bedrooms, we have more 2 and 3 bedrooms, so we can have families who will also be able to avail these affordable units and be able to avail of the school and the proximity of that as well.
Yeah,
as opposed to studios and college students or something.
We spoke about increasing the 2 bedrooms to about 30%, right?
So, can I ask you a question?
That's a good idea.
How much is it to build a 35,000 square foot for the school?
I think it might be too early to answer that question because we have not yet.
Approximately, probably you know.
I'm looking at my colleagues to say what the estimate is.
Yeah, between land acquisition downtown and the construction costs and the soft cost of engineering, we estimate this to be roughly $25 to $30 million gift that, if I'm turning over for now.
25 to 30.
25 to $30 million.
Gives it to the public school system for $1.
Right.
So that's better than.
Interesting, is it? Very interesting. So now, we calculated, simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, we give to them, funny thing is, when I come in Jersey City, 37 years ago, one of the wise men give you advice. Michael, if you're Jersey City, if you know somebody, you can be a millionaire overnight. I couldn't understand what that means. But now I understand how. Number 1, tax abatement. Number 2, franchise agreement. Number 3, zoning change. Actually, this area go up to 23-story. But because of your plan, we changed the zone to what, 50, 60? So you were able to build 30-story more than what you the plan. So that one way we give to them. So you're able to build 30-story more than what you can do as a current zoning. About 6 months ago, the value plus, because you called affordable housing units, or 5% they put it in, so we give to them.
Not 5%, remember,
Yes, I know that the other one.
It's important that you don't leave that out, because they don't have to keep the existing, so that is part of the equation.
Okay, all right. Okay. All right. So now, 15%, the 5 years tax abatement we give to them 25 years. It's a good deals. And the other one, instead we charge at 11% to annual gross revenue for the fee, we down to 7%. If we calculate all those amounts, far more than $25 million. Tax abatement itself, you guys are able to save $71 million. And the plus, you're able to build more story, more 30-story more building you're able to build. That's a lot of money, And the plus, instead to pay 11%, you pay 7%. That means a lot of money. I don't know how much it will be, but it's a lot of money. So what you invest $25 million to build 35,000 square feet, and the other hand, you got benefit from the city of Jersey City, more than $100 million actually. It's a good deal, good for you.
I'm not convinced it's a great deal for us. In fact,
Yeah.
I think we have conceded a great deal in order to make something work for our partners at the city. I don't believe your analysis gives deference to all of the various elements in this transaction that have been contemplated. My assumption is that your analysis is one that, considers some of the other projects that you may have dealt with across the street or in downtown. My assumption is that you have heard folks come before you with deals of significant size and shape and have a great deal more of state and city subsidy to make happen. My conviction is that this package of benefits is not matched by any precedent, and yet the tax abatement has precedent. My hope is that you and the rest of the council will perceive this as a partnership. In effect, we have done what we can to make sure that we have a legitimate chance of delivering on a project.
And I will add one more thing. As you know, at the beginning of the year and last year, we had two other projects that included new affordable housing downtown. The only reason those projects went forth as quickly as they did was because there was a package of incentive available at the state level, and the ink has dried on that pot of money. So when that disappeared, we were just in general conversations about just the affordable housing. When that disappeared, that's when we started talking about an additional benefit to the city, where the city incentive would make sense. And we didn't bankrupt the developer, because obviously we have an interest. We have to understand, as Councilwoman has said, in the same way that you're saying that they are seeing a benefit in the long run, and otherwise they wouldn't be in this business if they didn't see it that way, they're also foregoing a substantial amount of rents that they could be collecting at market level when this building is going to stay at least 50% affordable for the foreseeable future. And the terms of those units, it's basically defined by how long do we give the tax abatement in order to protect those folks.
A good project, I can say that.
Okay.
Give credit to yourselves and to your colleagues who have fought for the interests of the city.
The only question is.
But Councilman Gatson?
Quick question, I guess, as it relates to this project. So there's two developments that will be affected by this abatement.
Right. So going back to the site plan.
The site plan.
And to be actually, sorry, may I just do this? Be really heavy-handed. The only abatement area, the project as defined by the abatement, will be this area. This developer, which is functionally us, will cause this ownership team, which is not necessarily us, which is others with whom we work but do not have control over, we will cause them to preserve, as the councilwoman said, nearly 50% of the population, and nearly 50% of the units in that existing building.
Do we have that in the writing already?
Yeah.
Yes, that's part of the redevelopment agreement, and that's part, we basically made sure that was part of it. We were not going to let that go. What's also important, not just that we're preserving the 50% affordable housing in the Paulson Towers, but what hasn't been mentioned is that there is a substantial rehab program that will be going on in that building, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, because like for instance, windows will be replaced, kitchens will be redone throughout the entire building, which hasn't been done in that. This is an old Section 236 program that is from, I believe, the early 1960s. I believe, if I'm not correct, it came out of the Model Cities program?
No. It's
separate from Model Cities program, but it's a Section 236 HUD program. And those affordable housing requirements have lapsed. So what we're about to, and so what we're doing is, not only are we preserving the affordable housing in that building, 50% of it, we're also asking the redeveloper to make improvements to that building that have not been improved in a long time, over 20 years.
Is there any tax incentive for that? Under Montgomery?
No.
It's outside the scope of.
It's outside the scope. But what we did was to make this work. We connected the project to the redevelopment agreement.
It's our bluish area. It's depicted sort of behind the school on that image.
This is awkward just for like education purposes.
Yeah.
Like this, in order for this to be, in order for you to get an abatement, I guess this is an area of light, right? So what makes this area a blighted area?
It's not.
The redevelopment plan was a long time ago.
A long time ago.
It's a long time ago. It's getting ready to expire.
Years and years and years.
The only
The
question
people that's in
is,
there.
what is anybody doing
We'll
for
have to
30-some-odd thousand, or more than that, maybe close to 40,000 homeowners in the city? Nothing. I mean, we're giving away everything, and I'll tell you something, and I'll make a statement on Wednesday night also. I will never vote for another 30-year tax abatement or 25.
You said that until it was your war.
So, we're getting screwed, the people, the homeowners.
You said that until it was your war. I remember that.
One is the school site. Just a question. If you didn't have a school, what would be possible to be put there? I'm not, I mean, it's an obvious question, I guess, but I'm asking.
It is fairly obvious that elements of our program could have been extended over to that portion of the site. I think we glommed onto this idea in part because it allowed us to use this area where we were hoping to mitigate density to serve the school. We had a smaller program of like 2 stories of retail, might have put more residential. Yeah, it would have been a mixed bag like that.
Because our economic and fiscal impact doesn't take into like that opportunity cost that's kind of.
No, and you know, it's funny, I raised that too.
Yeah.
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 I don't know why it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Gary.
And I guess I'll just reiterate, which was raised at the NJCU for the other abatement on the job side. You know, kind of want to reinforce that.
That's like 600, whatever,
Yeah.
jobs in the city with just these 2 projects alone. So moving forward, like there has to be a concerted effort to get 600, you know, people.
So working with
That's
Pierre.
the city's
We
obligation.
had a big portion of that city resident.
We had
Just
We fully intend to continue meeting with Pierre, with whom we've met. Ours is an organization that takes this very seriously. We've done a lot of this in New York. We have our own goals to promote community-based hiring, and we fully expect this to be a core principle used here.
And they have done this in New York as well.
Right, and so we're doing this in New York right now. The Haynes Building. The Haynes Building in New York.
Council President?
Yes.
Folks,
Oh, yeah.
Councilman Young.
yeah, 100 Montgomery Street. They're now, their affordable housing units term is expired. Then what happened to those people that live there?
Rent goes up. That's what you gotta realize.
What is, that will happen to those people?
Yeah.
It is not, it would, if we had our druthers, it would not be our intention to force relocation. But over time, when those units become vacant, they would become market. There would be no regulated regulatory regime on the property.
So how many units 100 Montgomery Street?
308.
308. Let us quick question that 308 units now. So because of this,
How many units will be staying as affordable housing units?
163.
163. So 145 units will be market value.
Not really, not immediately. Not immediately, because it is not our intention to force relocation of any existing
When you
tenants.
say not immediately, what does that mean?
That means that if a tenant is to leave, then that unit could become market.
Oh, so it's 163.
so now we.
But if I move tomorrow, it'll be 162.
It's 308 right now.
According to the conversation we're having today, 163 would be the bar. If you move and you're 163, we will find 163 to replace you.
Okay.
Okay, that is okay, but
But right now, there's 308, and what they have agreed to do is, so if somebody moves out, then that 308 would go down by 1. But they're not, right now, anybody who's living there, they're not
gonna kick them out.
moving to forced relocation. So for a period of time, you will literally practically have that building remain 100% affordable.
okay.
Which I think is
Until such time as people vote.
I have another question. So say we say, we agree, whatever, we vote yes on this, and so 300 and some odd apartments are still made affordable. What assurances are there that will never, change?
163 units will be policed by a regulatory agreement that we will cause the ownership of the existing building to slap on the property.
Right.
When we have a redevelopment agreement,
We file that redevelopment agreement with the county registrar, and
Right.
that is connected to the deed, so it's a deed restriction.
Right.
So that agreement, our entire agreement, is listed upon the deed, so if it's ever sold to somebody else, they still have to, they still have to
It's
apply
still
for
on the
that deed
title.
restriction, it's still on the title.
Council President?
Councilman?
So now, most case in the apartment rent in Jersey City, the longest one probably 1 year annually. So now, 145 units, yes, Tom,
The lease term, is that a year lease term?
yeah. Then year later, you can send to no longer. Then what happened?
You mean whether in somebody else's apartment?
No. Year later, so the list of term is expired. Then you can actually freely ask them to move it out.
Oh, on one of these units that are now unregulated?
Yeah.
It is not our intention to
That's
do
what he's
that.
saying.
We would offer them a lease renewal option.
Okay, now, this is the one I'm saying. Not your intention, but you can say now, but after we prove that, that all this one, you can say something. So can we some kind of secure the 145 unit residents, how we gonna protect?
Explain who's gonna be done.
Yeah, but you say, orally you say, but I mean,
But they could
by,
sell it.
by documentation wise, and as a condition of that long-term tax abatement, the 145 units will be, do something.
It was just explained that it's
There
gonna
will be a deed
registered.
restriction that will mitigate any change, so under no circumstances will be less than 163 affordable units in the building during the term of the abatement period.
That I understand.
For the other units.
That's what I'm saying, that's why my concern.
It would be in the.
Yeah, no,
private
it's not in there because it's not, the subject property isn't in there.
Right, it's not the subject property.
The subject property is a third party's property.
But the subject property is contingent on this.
Is it in the RDA, David?
Yes,
It's in the RDA.
It's in the RDA, which is a redevelopment agency.
You're trying to protect everybody that's there today. You don't want displacement.
Right, especially
So are you?
163 is gonna be affordable housing out of 308, we understand. But my concern is that rest of it, 145, which is expired affordable housing terms, and those people have a lease agreement of usually 1 year, 1 month, 2 months, I don't know what kind of lease. Then those people, you are freely as a landlord, ask them move it out.
We can probably do, that's New Jersey law. You can't, New Jersey has perpetual lease for tenants. You can't.
Yeah, but lease is expired.
That's true.
Yeah, New Jersey has a perpetual
We'll find a
lease.
way to address your concern.
Is that what you do to your tenants,
Marcos
Councilman?
And Dave.
Long story short,
The actually,
Folks,
the law, and Greg, Mr. Corrado is absolutely correct. The law does not allow you to force somebody out.
Yeah, there are no term
You
limits
cannot-
to
you cannot
leases,
just-
to residential leases.
Yeah,
As a
you-
landlord, you should know that.
guys, as a long
Unless
story
you're doing it
short,
incorrectly.
long story short, they've agreed to draft some language that'll help. We all are on the same page, that's what we've always wanted. It's already been our understanding, we'll throw some language in there to relieve.
Thank you, everyone.
We made some things to address
Do you know how much money they can get if we can protect those people down there? Do you know how much money rent they can get down
All
there?
right,
Columbus?
all right, please leave quiet.
We'll have homeless
Those of
people.
you who are leaving, leave quietly, please.
I don't know why. Those people won't have places
Like
to stay,
mice
because
in
they
the night.
will give you market rate rent.
okay,
All right,
How can they stay
let's get through the rest of this.
if your income
all right,
is
we're
so
done with the
low?
first reading ordinances, Council President.
Okay,
It has to
second
be,
readings.
Else they won't make a deal.
Folks,
Any questions on the second reading?
questions, second readings.
We're going to resolutions. Let me take them from the top. We have a resolution authorizing calendar year 2016 appropriation transfers. You got a new version tonight. 3B is inserting special items of revenue and appropriations. We just got a grant. C and D authorize us to request from the Director of the Division of Local Government Services the establishment of a dedicated trust by rider for recreational trust fund, and for the storm recovery reserve. E is the preliminary official statement and finalist official statement for the bonds authorized by the council recently. F is cancellation of balances, lot cleaning charges, abatement charges, special improvement charges, and credits of $10 or less for the year 2016 and prior. Likewise, for G, transfer 2016 calendar year real estate tax credits and other municipal charges to operations. H and I were done earlier. J is reappointing Margaret Marley as a full-time judge in Jersey City Municipal Court. K is appointing Peter Basso as municipal prosecutor for the municipal court to serve for a term of 1 year.
Peter.
So Peter would like to share a few words, I think, yeah?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I know it's already late for everybody, but I just want to thank the administration and Corporation Council and certainly the City Council for giving me this exciting new opportunity and for placing your trust in me to represent the city's interests in municipal court. But I also want to say it's been a privilege to serve alongside all of you for the last 3.5 years and be part of this office during a really exciting era for Jersey City. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great things to come for all of you. And of course, I also want to thank the council president for having me for his term to date and for being a great friend and mentor. So I'll be certainly following along. I'm not going anywhere, and I wish you all the best.
We will miss you, don't worry.
I wish you the best, Peter.
I want to say thank you to Peter publicly.
Take him with you?
Say thank you to Peter. You've been a great aid. Done a great job. So thank you. We wish you all the best and the prosecutors.
L is appointing Gigi Gazan as a member of the Jersey City Medical Center Board of Trustees. Not many people know her by her given name is Genevieve. M, I think we did with Ms. Gandula earlier at the beginning. We have N and O, authorizes the BA to execute discharges of mortgages at 145 Claremont and 100 Clerk Street. P is the execution of mortgage subordination at 424 Liberty Avenue. We go all the way to U, and this is authorizing the release agreement with High Noon Productions for the use of certain city logos captured on visual media in an episode of the Cake Boss television program. V is the license agreement with 101 Newkirk Street and Vieshon Ma Academy for the use of parking spaces at 105, 107.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's gonna be split as well.
Okay. The rest of the page has been taken care of, except for Z4. I had alluded to that earlier. APS declared in default. The next page is all done. Z15 and 16 are for the open and closed dental plans issued by the city, Horizon Dental Choice and Horizon Healthcare Services have the contracts. Z17 is a contract, and Z18 are professional services agreements, hiring lawyers. One is to represent police officer. These have to be withdrawn because of money issues, but we'll get to that.
My understanding is that they were encumbered. That's what Bob had.
Z17 and 18? No, we have others. We have a group of others that were. Okay.
We'll figure it out.
Okay. Z19 and 20 we did. Oh no, excuse me. Z19 we did. Z20 through 23 we're honoring folks. The Hibernians honored Jennifer Lambert, James Feeney, and Robert Baker. And we had an 80th birthday celebration of Dorothy Rebecca Allen Bellinger. Z24 we did earlier. Z25, the Acme Auto Leasing. Now, Z26 through Z31, all resolutions that were on the November 9th meeting, they're being represented to you because the encumbrancy was incorrect. It's just they were all approved by the body, and they're just being represented to you in proper form because they were not properly encumbered. Okay? So it's 8:33.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Councilman Tolman.
All right, she makes the last motion, seconded by Councilperson Waterman. By everyone, say goodnight.
Good night.
You go.